What's going on, YouTube world? Brad, Steve, Vinny, Michael. One of the benefits of not being on Tuesday nights last couple weeks, Michael at least gets to watch and not be bowling or running from storms or anything like that. So get him on tonight too with a little retort to Brad and his Mel Kiper-ness as we Mel Kiper from like the 90s. Mel Kiper now is pretty much you go to Las Vegas on a corner and talk to some drunken derelict, and it's pretty much about the same intelligence you get. So talk the draft tonight, and then we'll talk the draft tonight, and then we'll talk probably some more of the draft tonight, maybe a couple off-season moves that occurred over the last 2 to 3 days that are of
no importance.
Swindled. The Jets got swindled. I don't. I'm not a fan. That's all I can say. So I mean, and thank you again last week, Jeff being on, chatting with us on Sports Collectors Daily. He put the article up of basically what he went through for the 16 players to watch for the 16 playoff teams, and included a little shout to us and an ode to us on our small little chunk of the world in Podcastville.
And a direct link to the episode, mind you.
Yes, which is nice. So
yeah, thought that was pretty cool.
I hope
we're moving up in the world, guys.
Yeah, the Jeffersons, not Justin even. Maybe Sean Jefferson. That's what we're like.
There you go.
An incremental growth, not Justin Jefferson where you get shot out of a cannon. Like, wow, look at that thing go in the sky. It's Sean Jefferson. Oh, he had 8 catches for 83 yards. Well, that's pretty solid. What do you have the next game? 7 for 65 and a touchdown. Okay. What about the next game? Oh, 8 for 74. There we are. So it's good. Again, maybe get some eyes over here. If not, at least you see that somebody that truly does have the appreciation for what we're trying to do on the show. That's always nice. I'm not trying to corner friends into corners, trying to get cards for a PC or anything of that nature. I mean, I don't know anybody out there in the Instagram land would do that, but there's been some hashtag allegedlys that have come along. So those folks live near a money tree, but I digress. We're here to talk about the draft. We've got recent, and every time I'm going to do this for the next year, Brad, until the next voting, it's going to be recent. It could be it could be fucking Thanksgiving. It's recent. Recent YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame inductee. As trying to think, it was Ken Harrelson, the Hawk, used to say, one of the good guys getting in. Brad, 8671. Brad, what's the 8671 stand for? That's what I was wondering.
This is what's awesome. I originally started an eBay account in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just going to do Brad in my birth year of 1986.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody already had taken that. So you know how they just make you up one?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I got it. It literally has almost zero significance. The 71 has zero significance to it. But when I started, I wanted to keep everything the same. So they know exactly, no matter where you are, they know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's why I've just kept it since then. Never changed.
It makes sense because, again, it's easy for people to follow and not. Was that the same Brad? I mean, it's not Dolphins Super Collector Brad.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. I was thinking.
But yeah, unfortunately, no good story with it.
I was like, it's Richmond Webb. I don't remember what Big Hoss on the line back then. No, I thought he was like 73. But there it is. We've cracked a myth, cracked a riddle, as it were.
Yep.
So yes, tonight our annual NFL draft preview show, and it's on the eve of the draft this year. So we've got a lot of the hullabaloo, I won't say out of the way, but most of it, depending on what starts after number one tomorrow. And even number one sort of, I don't think a surefire slam dunk guarantee 100% that's going to be who everyone thinks it's going to be. I don't think it's, I'm probably about 90% in that direction.
Yeah.
But again, when you get Frank Reich in the room, that means there's a differing opinion, and he's usually a pretty loud voice. And again, I don't think he'll override ownership or GMs or whatnot. I think it'll have to be a consensus with it, which I think they had mentioned, I don't know, earlier this week or late last week, that they'd come to the consensus, which that doesn't mean shit. But we'll talk about the picks. I'll talk about the one team that doesn't have a first round pick. I'm not sure if I can remember who it is.
The only team
Brad
coming up
may
to
be
get
able to help us.
could really use it too.
Yeah, this is true.
It's all right. Until it gets hurt
So-
in the offseason, Tom Brady will be a Dolphin anyways. If I have to hear any more about that, I'm just like, done with that.
Let him do his Hertz commercials and be done with it. Just like, do commercials, make your money, go to Fox or wherever you're going, and just do that. So what I'd say, or I'd ask of this, and I'll go just through the draft picks. I won't go through like the NFL trades, I'd say, per se. But like draft pick wise, what's been like the most shocking, stunning, confusing? What sort of had you like attention the most?
So do you mean like player or?
I'd say like any transaction that's happened over the last couple months, and again, it can be the one that happened a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Because I've had some picks.
Well, I will say with the Rodgers thing, I've said for 2 years, if the Jets ever got a quarterback, I'm more afraid of them than the Bills. And, well, if he has anything left in the tank, it's going to be a problem. So, so that is probably the most significant, in terms of it puts them in not the top tier level, but the next tier with the Dolphins and everyone else, theoretically, because they already have the defense. So they just need a competent quarterback play. And he's, even in his off seasons, he's still like a 28-12 guy,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's the most significant, along with the Panthers, obviously. And the Bears did really well getting the picks spread out. They didn't take it all this year, next year, and they get a player they can plug and play and help the young quarterback right away. So it was completely brilliant on their part.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, the new guy actually seems to know what he's doing.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, I don't give two shits because my first pick doesn't come until the third round. So
At least your team's already great.
says who?
Ooh, wow.
Nobody.
Comes out firing right off the bat.
No, they should definitely be better next year with their offseason pickups. They did well. But at the same time, it's one of those in which it seems as though Sean and George kind of get along for the most part. There's always the possibility that because they were trying to trade Judy. They were trying to move one of the receivers. Not that they're going to be able to move into the first round. by getting rid of any of those guys. But is it possible that they could move into the second round? Always possible, depending on if a team actually is willing to give up a second round pick for, let's say, a Jerry Jeudy.
Mhm.
I don't like it. Personally, the only issue Jeudy has is the drop balls, but it's one of those in which he's still a playmaker. And it sucks from my perspective, too, because we've never been able to see Hamler, Sutton, Patrick, and Jeudy all on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, those four receivers have their own special skill set they bring
Mhm.
to the table. And it's one of those in which it's nice to see, but I've never been able to see all four of those guys play at the same time.
Mhm.
Ever. So it's like, do you want to try and get some draft capital and move up into the second round by getting rid of one of those guys? Or do you want to give it a chance and see actually what the four of them can do on the field at the same time with somebody like a Russell Wilson, who I think will definitely be much better next year, especially with that offensive line help that they got, in free agency. So that's my take on my team going into the draft. I honestly wouldn't surprise those somehow, shape, form, or fashion if they don't try and move up into the second round by moving one of their receivers. Like I said, I don't like it, but I won't watch the second round to give two shits. I'll look at it later on. I watch the first round. I watch it every year because, that's the whole anticipation of what's going to happen. So that's my take. Anybody else have anything that they'd like to add for their team, especially you, Michael, from a Packers perspective, since you lost your aging quarterback?
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see what Jordan Love can do. I have zero expectations because I've seen very little of him.
Mhm.
And what I have seen, I think he's really confident and good if the first read is there. Beyond that, I just don't know how he's going to play. And yeah, I do think that they got a hell of a haul for Rodgers. I couldn't believe the haul they got for him because if the Jets were smart in the whole situation and just sat there and said, yeah, we're not going to give you anything for a guy you're never going to play again. You pay him $60 million to sit on the bench. You've already said you're going on Jordan Love. Why would we give you anything?
Yeah.
They didn't take that route. They did us a big favor. However, I think they're going to get a very, very motivated and pissed off Aaron Rodgers. And what you saw last year, I mean, the guy played with a broken thumb on his hand for the majority of the season. And that didn't get talked about enough. And I think you don't win 2 MVPs and then play with a broken hand and play terrible and then not be good again. At least I don't think so.
No.
But I think Goody, I think they're going to stay at 13. I don't think they're going to trade down. I think, and they're not going to move up. I think they'll stay at 13, and they're going to pick a wide receiver just to stick it a little bit. That's if the Ohio State guy is there.
Well, and the fact that they swapped first round picks, in my opinion, the Jets got a steal as far as what they did give up, in my opinion, because I look at what Denver gave up for Russell. And, Russell didn't do shit last year.
No.
Plus,
in the scheme of things.
But at least they gave him that massive contract without ever seeing him play.
Yeah, it's a combination of the entire picture, of what transpired.
Had they not given him that big extension, it wouldn't even have been. I mean, he still played bad, but it wouldn't be a bad situation because you could have just moved on. But now
100%.
you're handcuffed to him for at least a few years.
I don't expect a repeat. I just
He's going to be better this year.
Yeah.
He just will. I don't think he's going to be as bad with Sean Payton at the head there.
No. And that's the thing. It's adding Sean Payton as the head coach, who's very offensive minded, plus the pickups and free agency to help on the offensive line.
Mhm.
You know, if he sucks as bad as what he did last year, then Denver better be rethinking things. I just don't. Are they going to win the AFC West? No. Are they going to go to the postseason? Probably not. So it's one of those in which I don't have high aspirations. However, I expect them to be more of a contender in the division with what they did in the offseason, and especially with Peyton as a head coach.
Yeah.
And all receivers are healthy. Well, supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's left to be determined because it never fails. One of them gets hurt in fucking preseason. So,
Well, what's his name? Hamler already did.
Yep.
He had some kind of surgery.
yes.
Yeah.
But he's, I mean,
And this makes year 3, so now it's a trend.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the concerning part with him. That's the concerning part with him because he's had more injuries than the other guys. But it's like,
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you need to like take it down a notch. Maybe not play so like stupid.
I'm hoping that the Packers go defense with that 13th pick. We need a safety and we need interior defensive line. Those are more pressing matters, I think, than adding an offensive weapon. As much as I would like the wide receiver, Jackson Smith and Jima, I think is his name. Is that how you pronounce it?
In Jigba.
Yep.
Okay. Or, I mean, I love the tight end out of Notre Dame, Michael Mayer. But I think tight end there's so many good ones in this draft that they can wait to the 3rd or 4th round to pick him up. Or if you really want to use the second, you've got 2 seconds now with the 42 and 45. If you really love one there, take them. Yep. But safety is a big concern on our team because Adrian Amos is gone and Darnell Savage looks a bit out of place. I think he just never developed the way I thought he would. He almost looks like he'd just be a really good slot corner than as opposed to a safety. But I don't know. It's definitely going to be fun to watch, and it's going on right up the road from me. About an hour away, but I have no interest in going there whatsoever.
It'd be a fun experience.
Yeah, if it didn't end in a police report. And there's a high chance of that in Kansas City.
Not that Smitty. He's going to indulge in the draft.
Yeah.
That is back to me. He'll probably get back to you before you get back to me.
I should probably reach out to him at some point and see what we're doing about Chicago. I haven't talked to John in a minute.
Well,
I personally would like to fly, but I don't know that John's a flyer.
Well, I'm flying to Michigan.
Yeah.
And then we're driving.
And it's weird because Kansas City, I'd always flown direct to Chicago, and it's like a 55-minute flight. It's fantastic. Kansas City no longer has direct flights to Chicago. I think they either send you to Dallas or Detroit and then to Chicago.
Huh.
The Dallas one's hilarious.
Yeah, go the opposite direction.
Yeah, I thought
Yep.
for
South,
you
for
made
that
it
matter.
for you.
Yep. But it's not a bad drive. It's like 7.5 hours, I think. It'll be even less than that based on where you said we're staying, which is about 45 minutes outside of Rosemont.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an hour.
Okay.
In Sheridan.
So, I mean, that'll be even closer. It won't be even that long of a drive for me.
Less than 3 months. Less than 3 months away.
Yeah, it'll come quick.
Brad, are you going this year?
Yeah, I will be there Wednesday through Saturday.
My typical is get in on Thursday, go to the show Friday and Saturday, and head home on Sunday. I don't know if I'll change that up this year or not. I should, just because I want to drop off some stuff to get graded in person, and there's no way you could do that on Friday.
No, not chance.
Way too many children dropping off base cards to get graded. That'll clog up the system.
One of Brad's friends who he was in a video with a few years ago that really warmed the cockles of my heart when I saw that. I'm like, oh my god, this is literally one of the
I
best
never
moments.
got so many text messages in my life. I didn't even think about that. You know, he stopped me 2 different times, by the way. Yeah, good times. He's an all right kid, though.
Does
He's
anybody
not as
know?
bad as a lot.
Does anybody know if Manny's going to be there?
All-Star Jersey Shop?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I'd imagine, but I'll ask. I'll send a message out to him.
The reason I ask is because he does a lot. He does direct drop-offs with PSA, and my thought was I could hand him all my clay superfractors, and they're not going to be in the mail except for return ship to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot less scary than sending off to consigners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
You can always message him on Instagram.
I know I
pretty
could.
quick.
I was
He's
just
pretty quick.
I was just wondering if anybody knew for a fact he was going to go.
No, I haven't talked to him. Like Smitty, what a show.
Yeah. Well, the last time I would have talked to John would have been right before the Super Bowl.
And that's only a few months. That's not horrible.
No. Nope. He's busy and I'm busy, so that's how that goes.
Yeah, adulting sucks.
Yeah. I'm just glad I don't have to do it with kids. That'd be way tougher.
This is truth.
No.
My Chargers, I don't have a clue. It literally is what everybody seems to say if they're picking 20 to 30. It's however the board falls to them. I mean, they've got needs at receiver, because at some point you're going to have to start thinking of replacing Keenan Allen, especially with his like injury history starting to mount up. They lost someone. I don't remember if it was Jalen Geithner, like their 3rd or 4th receiver. I think he signed somewhere else. And then tight end, you've got, who'd you have? Gerald Everett? I think it was either him or Cook. I think Cook 2 years ago and then Gerald Everett last year. That might be a spot they look at. Getting Rashawn Slater back at 100%. is going to help. If one of the tackles slide down there, I would not be opposed to taking a tackle and not trotting out Storm Norton or fucking God knows who else that they trotted out. That's just like a rusty gate on that right side. I mean, it's like every time Herbert goes back, pressure from the right. What a shock! Stunning surprise. The guard from Florida, I wouldn't be opposed to him. Even Minnesota center John Michael something.
Yeah.
Get him. Just you need to build if you're going to be starting to. Because I know they've starting to talk about Herbert and extension. You need to start putting pieces in place to protect him.
Yep.
And especially again in that AFC, you expect to go to the playoffs. Everybody's got a fucking pass rush. Everybody schemes to kill the quarterback.
Yep.
So you got to figure something out and figure it out soon because you're not going to have a large window. At some point, Mahomes will get hurt to the point where he can't hobble around and do something. Denver scuffling. Vegas is Vegas. So, I mean, there's an opportunity to at least do something in the West. Because, again, now you lose a lot of Kansas City's weapons. The receivers. You still have Kelsey, but you lose Juju. You lose Hardman. Who knows what they'll do, but at the same time, you got to plan for something like you got to take it right now. And it's either that or something on the defensive line because their run defense is absolutely porous. It's been 24th, 25th, or lower the last couple of years. And again, if one of those D tackles or they want one of them, they start sliding, make a play to try to get one. Otherwise, I love Jordan Addison there. That would be one of my favorites. I like Quentin Johnston, but I don't. He's a lot like an unpolished Mike Williams. You get sort of the same type of receiver, and you don't really want a slot guy because that's where Keenan Allen can play. I know he can go outside, but he can do a lot of his damage over the middle. So Jalen Hyatt, maybe second round. If he were to drop, that'd be a fun pick there, but I don't think he'll drop that far. I think there's gonna be a lot of shuffling. That's my initial take for the draft. There's gonna be a lot of trading because a lot of what you expect, what you've heard, what you think's gonna happen. I don't believe it's going to. I believe there's gonna be a lot of it makes sense from a team standpoint, but it doesn't make sense from a team standpoint. It's like you're bad, but you're not taking a quarterback. This is why you're bad every year. Now you're taking potential over actual successes. We'll start getting into the actual the draft part here where I'm just going pick by pick, but that's something I've read a lot in the last week plus of the 2 and the 3 picks because number 1 Carolina, get it from Chicago, flip spots 1 to 9 for the Bears. They get DJ Moore. I think they got a first next year and a second in 25.
There's the second this year, a first next year.
Okay.
And then something else added on.
So again, not loading up in the same draft, which is nice. Everything around it says Bryce Young. And I guess we can get to Orlando. As the Dolphins don't have a pick till 51?
Right. My guess would be tight end or right tackle, even though
Yeah, there'll be plenty of tight ends. Still should be on the board as this is again, universally praised as one of the better tight end drafts in the last probably 30 years, if ever, where you've got legitimately
Easily. Yep.
6 to 8 guys that could go in the first 2 rounds.
Yep.
And you need somebody to replace Gesicki.
Right, which I'm not sad to see him go. Most overrated Dolphin. Guy pissed me off all the time. He makes these unbelievable catches, but he does nothing else. So I am not sad to see him go, especially for $10 million. Now the Patriots, or who was it? The Sun? Was it the Patriots?
I think so.
But I'm like, go ahead. I'm not scared of you. He
Well,
just doesn't get open. He's fast, but doesn't get open.
No, not a good combination.
I'm fine getting rid of him. Like he's unbelievable one-handed catches from time to time, but he couldn't block, so you knew when he was over. And then he could run in a straight line, but other than that, he didn't get much out of him.
And then the Patriots didn't learn their lesson from getting Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. They had to get another one-dimensional tight end and pay him a ton, because I think Jonnu is sent off to the Falcons for a bag of onions, maybe, and some potato skins or something. I don't know. It wasn't much. So universally, right now, number 1, Bryce Young. That seems to be the general consensus.
I don't like any of the quarterbacks.
I don't like him.
See, like Bryce Young, if he was 6'4", would be candy buck. But he's 5'10", which is a problem. Has everything.
Yeah,
5'10" and throws
can't play under pressure.
I think it's the same thing with Alabama and Ohio State. Their quarterbacks thrown to first rounders, being protected by first rounders at all the skill positions. That hides a lot of ugly.
Yeah.
And none of them.
He's by far the best guy coming out the last few years under pressure. By far.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't buckle. He keeps his eyes down the field, and most college quarterbacks. So that's what you love about him. Everyone seems to love him, which is another thing that's semi-important. Mm-hmm. You'll play for him,
Yeah.
But yeah, he's 5'10", which is why that's a problem for those who don't know, is if the guys in front of you are all that's why that height thing's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody's 6'6", 6'8".
I mean, a lot of times, people don't explain why the height thing's a big deal, and I'm like, well, just think about it. These 6'4" guys are now standing up because they're getting
exactly. Once the ball's hiked, everybody's tall.
Yep.
Yep.
And then you got people like Calais Campbell on the other side who are 6'8", 6'9", and they're putting their arm up, and now they're 7'2", 7'3". So yeah, if you're Drew Brees and you've honed your craft, that's one thing. Bryce Young, again, he showed stuff in college, but again, like you said, you're surrounded by first-round picks. First-round picks, second-round picks, if nothing else, priority free agents, whatnot.
You're surrounded by NFL players.
Yeah, you're not surrounded by me, Brad, you, Vinny, Steve. You're not surrounded by literally the Water Boys. If the Water Boys go down,
yeah.
I don't know, Joey and Steve. I'd say over under on trades. Then Brad went on. Over under on trades first round. I'd say 8.
I was just curious because you had mentioned you're thinking there's going to be quite a bit of movement in the first round. So,
And it's all gonna like it's such a cliche, generic cop out type statement. Who starts sliding?
Mm-hmm.
And what team's like, well, fuck, that's our number 3 guy. We're at number whatever 24, and our number 3 guy is now at 12, 13. It's like, okay, if this is a need, a want, and what can we do to get up to 13? Okay, 13 isn't going to pick. What about 14? Well, let's start hammering out the phones and figuring this out. But I think there's just too many teams needing too many pieces that are up at that top of the draft. Houston, Arizona. I wouldn't be shocked if Seattle moved back. Again, I don't know what their room is with in regards to the quarterbacks, who they like, who they don't like, whatever. But it's I feel there's just a lot of teams that can move back and help themselves, and maybe one team falls in love with one of these players, one of these quarterbacks, or someone else. If you're willing to give up the farm to move up, if we're not going to be good this year, why not? You're going to give up your first, a future first, and maybe a second and a third. I'll take that. Again, if everybody's split and it's not like, oh man, this consensus player, it's not like a Cam Newton came out and you're like, man, that's number 1. So
yeah.
I think 8, and I think that could be more. I just don't think it's going to be a quiet first round. There's way too much smoke around way too many teams.
Yeah.
Regarding way too many players.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, Joey. I could see it just as a little dig and make it the first offensive weapon the Packers have selected other than quarterback since Javon Walker in the first round. But I honestly think they'll go defense. I really do think it'll either be defensive line or safety.
Because I think on my mock, I've got him at 12 for Houston.
Yeah. And Houston, yeah, Houston has 2 firsts, right?
Yep, 2 and 12.
Yeah.
And I can see them, depending on.
Yeah, if edge drops, definitely. But edge guys don't seem to drop these days.
No.
Everybody wants to get to the quarterback.
No, it's in there. I want to say that's the position you can sort of wait on, because if somebody's on that hype train, that Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech, he didn't have big numbers, but everybody's the ceiling. I hate using the upside, the ceiling. Joey, since you're mentioning it, how Jamal Reynolds fare for you guys? That was another one that people were like, oh my God, he's going to be a monster. He's a monster. All the physical tools from Florida State. God, we got to get him. And what, 2 years, 3 years out of the league? So
I'm going to try bringing Brad back in, but I'm not seeing him again like we were having issues earlier. Oh, nope, he left again. It appears the issues have returned for our good friend Brad.
It would appear so.
Too many people on the Wi-Fi at the house. He's fighting for that bandwidth.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's able to jump back on. It's not that, well, I don't have too much to add because, like I said, I don't follow it near as much as Brad and or Dave.
Me
do.
neither. This year, I have not followed hardly anything.
Well, that's the one thing I hate, the fact that, Denver sucks. And of course, they've given up the farm, and freaking Seattle gets a number 5 pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurts.
I mean, the whole thought process, well, at least in my opinion, they were hoping that they would be better of a team. Therefore, Seattle would have gotten a lower first round pick. But as we all know, that didn't work out so well.
No, which is why the Jets gave such a favorable deal to the Packers on that conditional pick, where Rodgers just has to play 65% of the snaps for it to become a first round pick. Because, well, they figure if Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps, they're going to be a playoff team, and that pick's going to be in the mid to late 20s.
Yep. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's not a super deep wide receiver.
He's back.
Maybe.
He's here.
Say something, Brad.
Yeah, it's working. I don't know what's going on. Signal strength's good, but the speed was bad. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, I said it earlier. Too many people fighting for bandwidth in your house right now.
That's what's funny. There should be nothing. Maybe someone's stealing it.
I was getting ready to say, so is somebody stealing your Wi-Fi?
Sorry, guys. So where are we leaving off here?
We basically say Bryce Young at 1, even though it's not the true consensus one. It's not a Manning. It's not a Luck. Not a Cam. Not somebody you're like, okay, this is like you've seen enough of a body of work, and it hasn't been around. Nothing but superstars that are going to be NFL Hall of Famers or All Pros or whatever. You're hoping that translates.
Could CJ jump him? Is it possible? Just curious.
It would be a shock. Everything that's been said, everywhere that you've seen everything. If anybody falls, it's going to be him.
Okay. I just wanted to pose the question.
See, this is where the classic example of workouts, you're going to fall in love with all the other 3 quarterbacks. In a room together with a head coach, you're going to fall in love with Bryce Young.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
There was something that came out today that one of the testing things for Stroud wasn't exactly the greatest. Some Manning at camp, that his attendance wasn't great. Houston, why they won't take him, I think it's being downplayed, but it's also being mentioned, is because he's got the same agent as Deshaun Watson. So it's like, we're not fucking with that guy anymore. Fuck you. Just move along. Keep on. Nope. Move along. So, and I don't think, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's Nick Cesaro being in New England for too long and like, okay, we got Brady in the 6th, whatever, we'll pick somebody up later. It doesn't seem like he really values that QB position. I know D'Amico's a defensive guy. We've had Nick Bosa out there. Hearing a lot of chatter of Will Anderson, but then like the last week, it's been a lot of Tyree Wilson.
I have a rant on that.
Because of like the upside and all that bullshit.
Yeah, because he looks good in shorts,
Yeah. So did Mike Mamula. He was fucking great. And there's
Kind
a
of
pup.
reminds me of the thing from last year with the Aiden Hutchinson, Trayvon Walker thing. You have a guy you know is good at football.
Mm-hmm.
Proved he was good at football for 3 years. Then you have another guy who could be good at football.
Yep.
Why is the guy who could be good going ahead of the guy that is good? Don't overthink it. You know, I just I'm fine taking Tyree Wilson late first.
Yes. Because at least you get that
a little better each year.
and then you get that 5th-year option. If he just starts doing well, it's like, okay, I'll pick that 5th year off. If he doesn't, guess what? Move on.
5? Heck no. Pass, strong pass for me.
Yep. Yeah, I won't ever be able to understand that where the upside outweighs production. Again, Anderson's
Right.
playing with a lot of guys that are first round, second round picks, but in the same breath, you see the skill set. You see what he can do when you have 6 sacks, and then this guy's had 27 and a half over the last 2 years. You're getting to the quarterback.
And an underrated thing too is when the guy has played the same position since high school.
Yes. Yeah, he's not flipping.
Because most guys now they're like, okay, we're full at this position, but you're an athlete, you can play over here, and they do that either senior year of high school or beginning of freshman year. So that's where you get the raw thing, because they don't know actually what they're doing, but they are athletic, or whatever.
Yeah.
And Will Anderson's been doing this for a while, so he's polished.
Mhm.
Tyree Wilson, you're hoping he becomes Will Anderson in 2 years. So what's the point?
Why you wouldn't draft Will Anderson now to get
right?
Will Anderson now, and not being able to pick, but maybe they want to suck and try to get what the fuck?
They just overthink it, man. That's why they say potential will get you fired.
I think if they have another bad year, Cesaro or whatever his name is out for a GM.
Yeah.
D'Amico, they're going to keep him for. At least
That's why I'm wondering if this first pick's his pick and not the GM's. Makes me wonder. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Are they letting him basically? Hey, you get one here. We'll let you decide. What direction you want to go in. Are you going to go in like the Niners did with Nick Bosa? Or are you going to go with a? Now, Will Anderson's not Nick Bosa, by the way.
No.
He's not. That's the problem with this draft is you don't have that elite group, which is what makes this draft very interesting because you're talking guys can go from 5 to 24. And it wouldn't be surprising.
No.
But the of it is I'm going to build the lines, and then I'll find either a quarterback, either a vet or the late rounder or whatever, and he'll just play in my system. See if he goes that route or all smoke screen, and he'll take whatever quarterback he likes the best to.
Which that'd be a great smoke screen because that's been a couple weeks. It's been basically reported that Houston looking away from a quarterback and more the defensive player.
But what makes Stroud so interesting is he saved his best for last.
Yep.
So the last thing you see is stuff he didn't show for 2 years prior. Because he was great in the pocket. Clean pocket, he guy will throw anywhere you want to. But he was actually throwing outside the pocket, moving within the pocket at Georgia. And I was like, where has this guy been? Yeah, you're the first pick easily if I saw this for 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's what's interesting. Did it click? Or was it just one random night he had it going?
No, and that's going to be the key with him. It's like who's going to buy into, who's going to see that, or who's going to be like, well, he's got tape from 3 years of this. This is what he's done. One game. Why wasn't that there prior to that game against Georgia? Because he looked like a fucking world beater then.
Yep.
Running around. The most running he's done ever. It looks so fluid, natural. It's like he's running against Georgia. It looked like men amongst boys.
Yep.
And again, Georgia, that defense is pretty much third round for the worst defender.
All right.
So
Yeah, if you told me you were getting that guy, sign me up.
yeah,
But we saw it once.
he's got that prototypical size
Yes.
that you want.
And he is better than Dwayne Haskins. I saw those comparisons. He is better than Dwayne Haskins. Even if he doesn't do the moving around.
Hope he just picks a better friend circle than Dwayne Haskins too.
Yeah.
Seems to be a little harder worker than Dwayne Haskins as well. So.
Doesn't take much, but yeah, you want somebody that puts a little time into their honing their craft.
Right.
Number 3 is another one. That's 2 and 3 are the hot spots for trades. And this could be like the Bears moving up in 17 with the Niners to get Trubisky. It could be like the Colts moving up to 2 or 3 and giving up a ton to get whatever quarterback they really want, which we'll get to in a moment. But Arizona, this is one of the teams that they're going to trade. They're going to trade back. They're going to probably look for a tackle. You need some linemen to help Kyler. DeAndre Hopkins, at some point, I'm thinking over the weekend, has to be traded. There's way too much smoke there. And then you're going to have to pick a receiver, and you're going to have to pick a receiver that's got some height. You can't pick another 5'8", 5'9". Rondell Moore's a great player.
That's the problem with this draft, though. There hardly aren't any.
I know.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Quentin Johnston's the only one, and everybody else is like that 6'1". They're all like Eric Mold's replicas. It's like literally that's it. So.
But yeah, they're the most interesting because they don't want to pick there for sure.
No.
Now, remember like in 2013, where like when you did make trades, you got very little value.
Mm-hmm.
He's froze up on my end.
He was so shocked at how little he got back.
There he is.
So yeah, I think you're going to get very little value for trades this draft.
Yeah, there's not. It's the Geno Smith. It's the
that 13 draft has proven to be a really, really bad one.
your boy the Snowplow or whatever.
Pretty much Lane Johnson, Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins. That's about it.
And Tyrann Mathieu.
Oh,
He's had a solid career, but yeah, that draft was really bad. And one of the ugliest years of contenders ever.
Oh.
Leave it to Michael to associate it to a football product.
Well, that's how I remember draft classes, what their contenders card looked like.
Yeah, pretty much across the board, everything was ugly. There wasn't much that was like something that stands out. Like, okay, I'll at least buy this because it looks nice. It's like, no, everything was fucking.
13 5-star was beautiful.
But how much was rookie predicated around it?
Well, the veteran stuff was what I liked. The veteran silver hollows out of 15, those on-card autographs are gorgeous. And there were a lot of legends in that set.
Yeah, if I remember right, that was one of those where one box was the rookie case hit, and then you got like 3 other vets for the other 3 boxes as your main hit.
Okay.
That was still back in that day where, you got more vets than rookie,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But if I remember right, that's what it was. You got a, quote, big name rookie, and then the other box hits were usually veteran.
Yeah. It was Eddie Lacy, but it was also E.J. Manuel.
Yep. And it only took Geno nearly a decade.
It took him a decade
to actually be worth something.
Yeah. But good for him. Good for him to stick around and get paid.
Yeah.
he was one of those that it depended on the system and the supporting cast around him to see actually what he was capable of.
Yeah.
And Seattle, let's face it, I mean, when I think of Seattle, I don't think of like big name playmakers, but it's one of those in which they've been consistent.
Mhm.
And consistency goes a long way nowadays in the NFL when it comes to like your receiving core.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, Michael, but props to him,
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought he would have lasted a decade in the NFL. I
Nope.
didn't think he would.
Not even close.
Yeah.
So number 4, that's where it becomes fun. Like more fun.
Yep.
I still feel they're going to trade up, and I wouldn't be shocked if that GM was drunk somewhere. I mean,
So
He's
I'm hearing Will Levis here pretty much everywhere for the most part. So I just got done watching. This was 2 days ago. Let me look. 367 throws from this guy. I watched all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You would think a guy this tall with a big arm, I'm seeing a lot of big time throws and a guy who has no touch, right? You're having consistency problems. This guy I counted 6 big time throws out of 367
Oof.
with a guy with an arm like that. So, like, just to give you examples, like you're in the red zone 19 yards away.
Yep.
Throws a slant in the end zone. Okay, this is perfect for the rocket arm, right? It's like a lofter in there, and it gets picked off. And it's like, this guy is the biggest enigma because I watched him at his pro day.
Mhm.
Well, this guy was flinging it, but you don't see it on tape.
no.
Yeah.
I cannot figure this guy out. This guy takes way too many sacks. You want to talk about a guy who's not good at football? This is another guy who's not good at football. He's got looks great in the shorts thing, and you're talking possible 2nd to 4th overall pick. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
Like, I get why you like him though. Like, by theoretically it should be okay. He just needs a little polishing and consistency, but he doesn't even show. Like, I should see big time throws all over the place with inconsistency.
Mhm. No, and again, you go back to the lineage of Kentucky quarterbacks. It's not the same coach as when the hefty lefty was there. It's not the same coach as when Tim Coach was there. But you've got a lot of that. It's a sort of a spread offense and try to chuck it down the field. Or you've got draws with a small running back that can get catches out of the backfield. It's not a real. I'm not going to say pro because that's what it's sort of morphing into. But you don't have like the under center. You don't have like an off tackle left or right up the gut with a running back that you can even break out in situations.
Yeah.
Literally shotgun all the time, like the Houston sort of run and shoot, and yeah, a lot of missed passes. It's like you'd watch the games and he'd make dumb plays, and then it was always the broadcaster sort of like covering for him. I don't know how many
it's weird.
you'd be like, oh, the receiver messed up. I'm like, no, he fucking threw it like 8 yards over his head.
Yeah.
And it's on a slant. You can't do that. I mean, somebody's sitting back there just playing center field. You got a safety back there, and again, if this is like a developmental guy, 3rd round, late
Exactly.
2nd, if you're like, man, I want to jump up and try to grab this guy because we see tools we can work with.
Right.
Between 1st and 4th overall, first because somebody posted on Reddit some fucking dumb post, and all of a sudden the odds for him going number 1 fucking went like from 40 to 1 to something ridiculous, like 4 or 6 to 1. If he was taken number 1, it would warm the cockles of my heart because I'd love to see Carolina just fall in their face. But Indy, that doesn't do me. That makes me happy too. Because again, that GM is such a dumb fuck with so many extracurricular proclivities that anything he gets is well worth it for me. So if they can trade up with, and it'd be the best for Houston, just like pillage a couple picks from Indy, even try to get I think their center, the one from Alabama a few years ago, they've been talking about maybe moving him, get another pick, even take that contract on just to get a center in there and deplete your division team and just watch them flounder with Will Levis. It's like, yeah, please. But yeah, the quarterback class, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could see why someone would fall in love with someone like trait-wise, but in terms of what you saw on the film, that's what makes Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud look so good. It's because at least they did stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, if you look Levis's tape 2 years ago, it's a lot better than last year. But still,
Yeah, and he actually ran 2 years ago too, which was. Now I know he supposedly got like a toe injury or something. You know, there's always, but I don't. Yeah, I cannot justify a first round pick on that guy. Couldn't do it.
no. Number 5, search for Steve. I know. Seattle picks. Got it in some sort of deal for a former NC State, Wisconsin quarterback, Colorado Rocky, New York Yankees second baseman in spring training. Part of
When you unlocked it.
a small deal. A small deal.
This is the first where you could see old Jalen Carter going, I think.
And that's, for mine, that's where I've got him because Pete Carroll's Brent Clark traded for Sheldon Richardson, who had trouble. That was right after he was driving 150 and had a sawed-off shotgun or whatever with him. The dude from Michigan State in the early second round, early first, that McDowell, he didn't do so well. Not as bad as Demetrius Underwood, but I mean, it's you mention him in the same breath. So Michigan State doing well there. But that's the thing where Pete Carroll's been good with him. Even though he's old as fucking dirt, he still somewhat connects with the younger guys. It's not like Belichick, who is like a stern teacher from like the 50s.
Right.
And he's just the humor of fucking Mr. Rogers and can't connect with anyone. That Carroll sort of gets it. And I think to get Jalen Carter at 5, even though you've done some rework on the D line, you can get back, and then you can go back sort of to that Legion of Boom defense. You get the pressure up front, guys in the back. It doesn't have to be all superstars. Cam Chancellor, Brandon Browner were not superstars. They became stars because of the guys up front. So he'll be doing it right, and I think that will be the guy that. Again, everybody knows the off-field shit. Then you come into the combine and I can understand that. I can understand coming in there and you're not pretty much 100% focused, even though you know you're going to cost yourself.
All right.
But it's like, you're going through a lot of shit then. So, and maybe you don't want to go to Carolina. Maybe you don't want to go to Houston.
Right.
Maybe you slide down a little and say, okay, Detroit's on the come up. I mean, they're not as bad as I could play next to 8.
Sandbagging yourself.
Yeah. I'll make it down the road. I'll make it up. But yeah, I think that's the spot. I for a while there with Chicago, I was like, man, it's gonna be Chicago or bust. And it's like, no, there's too much elevator in him now. He's coming back up the draft board. So Seattle.
The guy's peak tape is Ndamukong Suh coming out. Like, that's how good he is at his peak.
Yeah.
But how often is he going to play at his peak, I guess, is Now,
No.
I hate, I have a rant about running backs in the first round and defensive tackles who don't rush the passer. Now,
Yeah.
unlike Jordan Davis from last year, this guy at least does rush the passer. But still, I think 5 for me is a little too high, but I at least get it because he has shown dominance against good opponents. So I can live with the defensive tackle in the top 10 this year.
Then you get Detroit at 6, and this is part of this Matt Stafford deal. Again, all over the place. They just trade Jeff Akoda or whatever the hell his name was. They drafted him out 3 or 4 a few years ago. Trade him to Atlanta for a 5th round pick. I'm like, okay, I don't think he's.
I really hated that guy, like personally. It's like you're still on the hook for some of his money being a draft pick, so it's like they literally were just like, we don't want you in our room anymore.
No. Atlanta gobbles him up for nothing.
Yeah.
So you need more corners.
Yeah. Witherspoon by far is the most polished from Illinois. He's ready to play. Doesn't matter what defense you play, he can play it. There's other guys who run faster. He should be the first corner off the board.
And I could see him again. D-line. Again, if a backer was up this far, but their backers are not any. I mean, it's got to be a game changer.
Right.
And there aren't any that command this type of draft capital.
You think they're dumb enough to take a running back there?
No, I think with a second of their first, they don't.
Yeah, that I could live with. But yeah, okay. Because I mean, it is a receiver every year.
If they took him at 6, I think that would rankle a lot of people. I mean, I like Bijan, but it's no. You have to be the second coming of Barry Sanders to take him at 6,
Right.
and he's not. So, at 18, that's who I've got there. And I think this is without trades. We always preface that because again, there's going to be a lot of movement. I know Joey says under 8, but I think it's over. just because there's going to be, it's not the consensus board. There's not
Right.
45.
Yeah, like I say, Witherspoon's the best corner, but a lot of people have the guy from Oregon as the best corner. Now, again, I typically go off what I've actually seen you do, not your workout. So based on what they've done, I don't think it's close. But if you count the workout, that's where that comes into play.
Then we got Vegas.
Isn't that always a crapshoot? Like they could pick a kicker from Brookhaven Community College. Just throwing that out there because it's
take a kicker from Warsaw. It worked once. The Polish hammer, whatever the hell they called Seabass.
Yeah, this pick's interesting because it's a guy I think needs to win to make sure he keeps his job.
Mm-hmm.
And you brought in Garoppolo, which tells you I want to win now. You have Devontae Adams, which is win now.
Yep.
You paid Max Crosby, which is win now. So as much as I would think Anthony Richardson based on history here, if they're trying to win now, you can't make that pick. Even though it may be better for your franchise in 3 years. But, so this is where you've got, if you want to do lineman, the guy from Ohio State, Paris Johnson, or Skoronsky from Northwestern. And then or Christian Gonzalez because he's fast and they'll fall in love with that.
Yeah, if, whoever's got the fastest 40 time. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Al or Mark. Some Davis is just drooling, a bucket of drool over whatever 419, 422, 40. It's just doesn't even matter. Fabian Washington, you come on down. Chris Carter's what was it, like cousin or nephew or something. You're out of the league in a year. Who cares? Come on down. You ran fast.
And they got to hit on these first round picks because their last, what was it, 4 aren't even on the team anymore.
And I know, like,
Think about that.
I
That's
bet you
nuts.
half of them aren't
One's
even in the league.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Ruggs isn't in the league.
All right. Leatherwood went to Chicago. Arnett may not be in the league because he has
That's
gun
the one.
issues. And who's the other guy? I'm drawing a blank now, but they've missed on the last 4. It's been horrible.
And somebody's got to do some scouting on character. I don't know who's doing that part of the scouting. You need to get somebody that's, I don't even care if it's like with the church or if it's a cult, somebody that knows something about character, like really
All right.
just dissecting that some way, shape, form, or fashion, because they are not getting people that are, you don't need to be doing Salvation Army work or what, but my Lord, everybody, guns, driving drunk on freeways, killing people. I mean, go feed people at the homeless shelter. Look at their volunteer work. If they got like 2 pages of that, like, you know what? You might be a second round talent. We're going to pick you at 7 because at least you're a good person. We need some PR, like, come up because, again, they're not picking anybody, A, that produces on the field,
All right.
and B, destroys their career off the field. Or just pass. Just be like, you know what? We're going to pass. Just keep coming up. We'll figure it out.
We'll wait till the end.
Yeah. 8, Atlanta.
I've seen a ton of mocks with the Texas running back here all of a sudden.
Yep.
And I don't know where that came from. Why? You're not ready to win.
No.
Why? That's like a luxury pick, or a thing that takes you, oh, this is the only thing we're missing type deal.
Yep.
That's been baffling. But yeah, this should be either somewhere along the lines of scrimmage for sure.
Yes. Because I put Paris Johnson there. I flipped your cornerbacks. And you need, doesn't matter if you got Ritter playing or you get somebody else or do whatever you do, it needs to be somebody to protect and block for Algier. Give him a little more running space. Because if you do that, he might average more than 3.2 a carry or 3.3. You can't sit there and be like, okay, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, now Bijan Robinson. This isn't Madden where you can just pick all these like offensive studs and you don't have anything else going on. So you got to start with the grunts. Chicago, this is the one from Carolina when they traded the one. For me, it makes too much sense. Skoronski, again, Chicago guy going to Chicago. The Bears, even if they move him inside the guard, to know it was last year, the 5th round. Again, the tackle that did reasonably well for, again, his draft stock or his draft position. Because I know there's been some chatter about his arms being too short or whatnot. And it's like, again, he's one of your top linemen out there. It's not, he did this by mistake. He's playing for a Northwestern team that's mediocre at its very best. And they're in a running offense. So It makes sense. You need people to protect Mr. Fields. That was proven last year. You need as much protection for him as you can get. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, that's a perfect pick. Because, like I said, he's the technician.
Yep.
You know, like he won't allow you in the workout, but the guy is just solid, knows what he's doing, and you can play him at any part in the line. Yeah, safe. You don't have to worry about it. 10-year vet. Plug him in.
Yeah, it's like the Bruce Matthews, the Mike Munchak, who just went out there. You didn't have to worry about that position. You're not going to get Willie Rofe, Jonathan Ogden, just like steamroller road graders out there, but you're not gonna be like, oh shit, somebody's coming from that side. No, it's sealed off, so that's nice. Philly. This is one from New Orleans that they traded last year and they flipped. Which they can go a ton of ways too.
Yeah. Well, his history is all along one of the lines of scrimmage. It's what he usually does. Outside of the year he drafted Devontae Smith, that's basically what he does.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they did lose the left guard, Siomali.
Yep.
A little too early for 06 here.
Mm-hmm.
He's by far the best guard.
Yeah.
Could be a sneaky. It might be a little too early for the guard, but
I had him on the other side just because I think what's their average age D line? I think it's 30, 31. So besides, I think Davis, who they got last year in the first. So but again, I don't like the situational pass rusher. A kid from Iowa, Van Ness. It just reeks of Mamula. You need to have some sort of. If you're picking top 10, you need to pick something as sure of a bet as you can pick. Because those picks for them, obviously, those probably aren't going to be coming along unless Hurts gets hurt. Bijan, I've seen a lot of mocks with him. That's really where the fires or the smoke starts with him. But I don't know. It can go either way, either side of the line. Even corner, safety. I could see him drafting somebody there. Number 11, Tennessee. Did our friend Brad freeze up again?
I was getting ready to say, did he freeze up again? I think he froze again.
And for those watching, Michael dipped out. He had to leave, and that's why he took himself off camera.
Benny's dealing with some personal stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully Brad will be back again. This has been unusual for him because normally we don't have issues.
No, there's not. I don't think storms or anything, or any disasters going on.
Yeah. It may be one of those in which we may have to deviate. Because I don't have much to add. Because and I've always been the first one to say I don't. I mean, I usually know some of the players, but it's more from the offensive side of the ball, and I focus on what Denver may or may not do. And like I said, it's one of those in which. So he's here again, but we've got the white screen again, I think. So I'm gonna try. It
No,
has definitely been it has been a struggle.
Yeah, it's not been a good day for technology.
No. No, it has not. But like I was saying, we may end up having to kind of deviate a little bit. We'll give him a few more minutes, see if he pops back on. We'll try and move a little bit quicker.
Yeah,
So we can at least get through his take on stuff, and then we can let him drop, and we can close up. But yeah, that technology has not been our friend this evening.
no, and usually it's always been on my end.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. On occasion, I may get the occasional
Glitch.
Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi dip. But that, for whatever reason, that normally happens more when we're just hanging out. Maybe not so much during the show.
Afterwards, it starts spinning.
Yep. Pay attention to your phone, Dave, just in case like Brad sends you a text or something. Because I would say we could pick this back up next week, but of course we couldn't because the draft will have already happened.
Yeah. We can always review it.
All right. I see him. Give me a thumbs up, Brad. Maybe.
Sorry, guys. This sucks. My bad. I don't know what the deal is.
Shit happens, and I was just telling Dave, we'll try and kind of speed up a little bit so we can get your take,
Get to the me.
and then we'll let you drop.
Yeah.
Because we definitely want to hear your thoughts. That's the whole
Yep.
reason why we bring you on.
Yeah.
Um,
So I think I was talking about the Titans and where there should be Anthony Richardson, but you just drafted a developmental guy that you're already giving up on. It sounds like in Malik Willis. So what's the point of that? Boggles my mind. You knew when you took him he wasn't ready to play. So when Tannehill got hurt and he had to play, of course he looked bad. He's a one read and I'll run if it's not there. You already knew that's what he was, though. Like he wasn't ready to play. And you're already ready to give up on him? If that report's true, makes no sense to me. So frustrating.
Yeah,
But
his offense.
theoretically, he shouldn't get past that point.
Mm-hmm. 13, we got Green Bay from the Jets and the Rodgers deal. Oh, no, we got Houston. We got Houston before that from the Deshaun Watson deal at 12.
And this is where I think if the Texans do take a defender at 2, and Jigba goes right in front of the Packers at 13. So I think the Texans steal Jigba from him right here. That's especially if they go defense at 2.
And I do think Philly could be one of those trade spots at 10 to get above Houston. As they've shown that willingness the last few drafts to move back, pick up extra picks, and still get whoever they've wanted or one of the two guys. So that'd be something to take a peek at. Green Bay then at 13. I know Michael said he didn't like the tight end. I think that's from Notre Dame. That's a very real possibility.
Yeah, that's the first spot a tight end would go, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Could start the run of it, but yeah. And the best of the tight ends, if you want a pure receiver, it's Dalton Kincaid from Utah. If you want the complete tight end, it's Michael Mayer of Notre Dame. So it's all about what you want. And then if you want the Mercedes Lewis, you take Darnell Washington. And when I watch him, that's exactly who I see.
Yeah. You're 6'8", 260.
And that's not a knock, by the way. He's still in the league. You know? But yeah, it's funny when I watch him, that's exactly what I see.
If they would just use Mercedes Lewis like Darnell Washington, get a few more
Right.
touchdowns.
Yep.
14, we get New England.
This has, I think, maybe like a Darnell Wright from Tennessee to fill that right tackle. Pure right tackle. A lot of nasty to him. Sounds like a Patriot. And if they do secondary, you're looking at either Emmanuel Forbes fits them. That guy had 6 returns for touchdowns, interception returns for touchdowns in his career. At some point, it's not just luck, you know? So, and then Joey Porter Jr. has the nasty they would like. So I think those are the 3 guys I would slot in.
Mm-hmm.
They're just Patriots, you know?
Yeah. Then we get the Jets at 15, again moving down from the Green Bay and the Rodgers deal.
They could do anything. This could be a receiver pick, could be a tight end pick, or it could be the other lineman that isn't taken.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which way they'll go. Is it we're going to just give Aaron Rodgers what he wants, or are you taking the best player? I don't know which way they're going to go there.
And you think you'd want to take a lineman with the history with Mekhi Becton, George
Right.
Fant, the guy from USC, the guard. They've had all these guys that have been high picks, but they've just not been able to stay healthy.
Right. Yeah, they're actually good when they play.
Yeah.
They're just not out there.
No. You play 2 games and then you're done for the year. It's like, well, you can't have that. So they're smart. That's where I think where they go. They need to pick just depth. You need some quality depth.
Yep, that's where the logic would say for sure.
Yeah. 16, you got again the Washington Redskins. It's not whatever the Commanders. The Redskins. No.
This is defensive back for sure. I would almost guarantee it. So take your pick. You know, you got right, like because there's a lot of good corners, but I'm telling you, you're talking could go 30 spaces different. Just what you like.
Yeah.
You know? Do you want the more physical man corner? Do you want the zone corner? But secondary or the first safety off the board could go here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Branch from Alabama, which is the only first round safety.
Yeah.
So that could prop him up, or teams just kind of punt on the safety this year. You know, I don't know which way it's going to work. It's either going to prop him up because he's the only one, or teams just kind of punt on it.
Yeah, if they're just like, oh, there's the one, and well, we can wait. And it's
because there's still good safeties in free agency that haven't been signed yet, like veterans. So, yeah.
Odd how usually safeties and running backs are the 2 that are just sort of neglected. I mean, unless you're like an elite
Right.
level talent, it's just sort of like, we'll find one.
Yep.
Go to the lost and found, and there's like 8 of them there. Oh, we'll take that one. 17, we got Pittsburgh, the Steelers.
This is where that Torrance guy could go for sure if he ain't picked by then from Florida. That screams Steeler right there, or at least old school Steelers. You know, the nasty boy, you know. Otherwise, they need to replace Cameron Sutton because Patrick Peterson, that's a short-term deal.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of teams need secondary help, which isn't surprising in a passing league now.
No. That's where people sort of probably hope, especially Steelers fans, you're looking at your prospect list and you see Joey Porter Jr. and you're like, wouldn't that be nice?
And this is where that Pittsburgh defensive tackle who's like undersized but is
Clancy.
like the poor man's Aaron Donald is what they like to call him. I wonder if he could play a 3-4 defensive end because he's not big enough to be the big defensive tackle.
No.
But but I don't know if he's good enough against the run to do. I'm just thinking like that could be a sneaky Steelers pick of a guy who could just be dominant. Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of replace Cam Hayward, you know?
Yeah.
But like, no one's talked about it. But I was just thinking, like, if this, you can mold him a little bit, gain a little bit of weight, maybe, and he could play that 3-4 defensive end and be like, just cause havoc.
Well, yeah, and you learn from Hayward. It's like we talk about the Steelers, and Vinny's just like, Steelers? Oh, hold the phone, fellas.
And how awesome would it be if Joey Porter Jr. went there?
Yeah. That, I think, that would also warm the cockles of the Steelers fans' heart.
Yeah, I haven't seen McCancy guided the Steelers on anybody's mock draft, but I got to thinking the other day, like, that's like a sneaky home run, swing for the fence pick. That if that worked out, it would have been.
And 2 years in a row, picked Pittsburgh Panthers
Yeah.
in the first round. Keep it in house, which I like seeing. I like seeing sort of like the regional, like it used to be like way back when. There's sort of allotted somebody in that region. You get okay, Vikings. You get the Minnesota Gophers and maybe the Iowa Hawkeyes and a couple Illinois guys. Others go up to Green Bay or whatever. And I like that. But again, I'm odd in that regard. Any thoughts about Pittsburgh? What you've read, heard, thought about?
I was waiting for Brad to talk.
No, he was asking you.
Oh, so the 17th pick, I say we go defensive tackle, defensive end. I think that's our number one concern. Second round, we have the first pick. I say we pick up offensive tackle, and then maybe look for another center. Our center's not too bad. And then we got 2 second-round picks, so I say we go with another wideout, some sneaky guy like they did before. We always seem to fall in line and grab some kid that's going to be cash money. I just don't want him to be cash money anymore. I want them to be borderline homeless. I don't know what club that is, but take your rookie salary and pray for more later on. Want to win a Super Bowl, and the money will come. You'll get a big endorsement deal one day for Heinz 57 ketchup or Aquashore. Somebody from the stadium, the insurance will give you some bonus money in a commercial. So, yeah, 2 second-round picks, a third-round pick, 1 fourth, a 5th, 6th, and 7th. So we're not too bad this year. Oh no, our 5th-round pick and 6th-round pick. 5th went to Seattle, 6th round went to Denver. So we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks. So, like I said, offensive, defensive tackle, and sneaky wideout. Don't draft another running back, please. We don't need another. We don't need a 7th running back. We're good.
No, I think they're good there. They've got enough of a backfield.
But they love to take a running back late. They do.
Well, I know.
I just don't want one.
I'm trying to remember who they had the undrafted guy last year that came on late.
I can't think of his name.
Undrafted, maybe like a 6th, 7th rounder. Because I remember him
Yeah, the
playing.
Warren guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't bad.
So I mean, you got Najee Harrison is like 2.9 yards a carry. That Warren, I mean, it just you got your backs. And I'm sure there's another one or two they can pick up. I mean, again, just like the safeties, they're a dime a dozen. But yeah, I think either side of the line, maybe a slot receiver, somebody with really good hands.
Come on, dog. Well, if you need a slot receiver, this is the draft for you.
Yeah.
That's basically what they all are.
Yeah, because if for whatever reason they don't do O-line, D-line, corner, and one of those receivers, like they fall in love with them again. It's been mentioned a little, but they've got a somebody fighting for one probably in the backfield. Kenny Pickett says, "Hey, Jordan Addison, hey, I want to see some film of him and me." So that's a possibility too. Where again, it's not a current Pittsburgh guy, but it was a Pittsburgh guy with Kenny Pickett playing at Pittsburgh. So that's another one to sort of tuck in your back pocket and remember when the time comes. 18, Detroit. No second pick, their own pick.
Yeah, this is where I'm with you. They might go the luxury pick if Robinson's still there. I think they just got to take him. But the interesting part is, what if these quarterbacks don't go all in the top 11 like we assume? Are they tempted with the guy that's left? There's a guy that's left.
Depends who's left. If it's Levis, I think they'll let him slide.
Yeah, I'm actually with you. Yeah.
If it's Richardson, I think they'd be more apt to be like, we got Goff for another year. I don't know if it's a year or two. It's like, okay, we can deal with his salary comparative to like everyone else and just let him develop. But again, it just depends who's there. Because if Stroud is there, that'd be, I would be stunned.
Yeah.
Absolutely, like in a state of flummox where somebody hasn't traded up by now to stop the free fall. 19, Tampa.
Well, you have old wide receivers or hurt ones.
Yes.
So that's a possibility. And then obviously they love pass rushers. So you can see the Van Ness guy going there. The problem with him is he's just a bull rusher.
Yep.
He has no pass rush move. I'm going to slam as hard as I can into your chest and try to push you back to the quarterback.
Yep.
That's all he does. Now he's decent at it, but in the NFL, the guys have stronger anchors where you're not just going to be able to continually pull back to the quarterback. But I actually love the Kansas State edge rusher.
Okay.
I actually think he's the second best edge rusher. That Felix and Duke Uzama.
Mm-hmm.
People have him pegged at the Eagles or Chiefs at the end of the first, but I have him behind Will Anderson as the second best rusher, in my opinion. So and he's perfect. He's a 4-3 guy completely. He doesn't play standing up. And that's what the Bucks do. So that might be a sneaky good fit as well.
And this might be, again, Bijan. If again, their running back field. Again, I know they got the one from Arizona State, second round last year.
Yeah, Rashad White worked out. Yeah, he looks like he's solid.
But if you're playing Baker, if you're playing Trask, you don't want to rely on them to win the game. It's going to go from Tom Brady working magic to let's go back to a 17-13 game.
Yep.
Sort of control the tempo and the clock by running the ball. So
and they need a left tackle to replace Donovan Smith. The problem is, I think at this point, we already have the tackles worth taking off the board.
Yeah.
So that's a later, you get the next set in round 2, 3, or whatever.
Yep.
But that they need one of those.
20, Seattle, their own pick.
Man, they'll They hit a home run last year on like every single pick they did.
Mhm.
They really did. Like, I think they had the most games played by rookies, and they were good. But they do need another defensive back and a pretty good corner class. I think like Cam Smith, or is that his name, from South Carolina,
Okay, yeah.
he would go around this fight and kind of fits a little bigger corner, kind of fits what they do.
Yeah.
So I think secondary might be where they look for that. Not safety, obviously. They have enough money tied with Diggs and Adams to that.
Yeah. I could see them taking a receiver. I know they took one in the second last year. I know they got Lockett. I know they got Metcalf.
Right.
But I know those two get banged up, especially Lockett. That's one that's been dinged the last few years. And again, not saying you can afford yourself that luxury, but if you're picking at 5, you get Carter at 5, and you're like, man,
Yeah, this is where it comes because they drafted Dwayne Eskridge last year, as you said, in the
Yeah.
second, who was like a former quarterback, and
Yeah.
he was not ready to play last season. So
No.
I guess this will come down to, do we think he developed or not? Yeah, because I'm with you. If they think, I don't know if this is going to work, then yeah, wide receivers can play for sure.
especially if whoever they love is there. If that's Zay, if that's Addison, if it's Quentin, whoever it is, they've done well with drafting the guy that they like. Besides last year with Eskridge, receiver wise, I mean, it's like DK Metcalf. You saw he's a physical specimen, just like some like comic book character. It's like, okay, he's good, but I mean, he's like been fucking all world when he's out there.
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett, yeah, it's a system. Bill Snyder's system. No, it's not. And well, no, he's been a very productive, probably top 10 receiver every year he's been healthy for the whole year.
Yeah.
Just on productivity alone. So that's where I see, again, if like big F's. It's always a big F. Then we get my Chargers, which I went through. They need help in various spots.
Dave Flowers fits perfectly because he can run the same routes Keenan Allen does.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if you're playing together, he can play that slot. Now, Josh Palmer's not bad, but
no.
Again, Mike Williams or Keenan Allen, you have to assume one of them will be hurt all the time.
Yep.
It's just, you've seen enough now that that's just what it is. So,
and you had success last year with Boston College drafting Zion Johnson as a guard. Let's go back there, take their receiver, and it's not like Boston College tears the world apart on the field as a team, but they've got some individuals that can do some things. So I'd love a receiver. If some of those tackles slid, I'd love that, but I don't think that doesn't happen ever. And if it does, somebody's jumping in front of them. That always happens. So running back would be the other one, but again, I'm hoping the Eckler situation works itself out because that's just fucking. You got to pay him a little more.
Well, that's the thing. They could have just done some BS thing that you didn't even commit long term.
Yeah.
It just said, here's an upfront raise. You know, you mess with the bonuses or whatever. You sign them to like where it's only a year extension even.
Yeah.
But you give them a big raise. But yeah, I don't blame them because their plan is I'm using you one more year and letting you walk.
Mm-hmm.
In which I do not blame him, especially at his size, but it's a risk. You're kicking off your best player from last year, basically.
I know. And if they draft later, I'm hoping Deuce Vaughn from Kansas State.
Well, I'm glad you brought him up because even though he's like 5'6", he's hard to bring down, man.
Oh my God.
I watched thick, you know, like
so many
like
Kansas
was. Yeah.
So many Kansas State games, and I'm like, I know the dude's small. I know this. But man, is he fucking productive.
Yep.
And again, it's not just like swing him outside for passes or any like wheel routes. He will go up the middle and again, like Brad said, Sproles. He'll pop out Sanders just pop out the other side. Like, how the fuck did he get there? What? And he'll break it off for 70, 80 yards, and you're like, well then, this is interesting.
Yeah, because
And
the
by-
one advantage small dudes have is the defenders can't see it behind the offensive line. So, I mean, as long as you aren't just puny and go down with an arm check or something,
Yeah.
you kind of have an advantage. That's what Eckler's used for years.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you get this bowling ball running through there, and you can't tackle him.
So I could see them drafting him maybe. I've seen like a lot of mocks of him in the 7th, and I'm like, that's too low. I think 5th
Just a
round,
size, but yeah.
5th is like a good spot for him. So if they can get him, I will be very happy because at least somebody there has some fucking thought process of like, okay, Eckler, whatever happens with him, he's not going to be our long-term guy. Let's get somebody that's very similar to him. And we've had it work with Eckler. We had it work with Sproles. It's something that we've done well. So let's continue that trend. Deuce Vaughn is an insanely productive back. We'll see.
We agree on
It's the
that,
Chargers
though.
drafting. They don't draft well. They don't draft who I usually want. The last few years they have,
Yeah, they've hit on the linemen and stuff, man.
which is stunning. Because usually they deviate from that and draft someone else. But next up, Baltimore, 23. Or 22.
Well, we always love Baltimore's draft picks, even if they don't produce in the playoff wins. Me and you always go, man, that's what I would have done.
Yep.
Because they just take the best player. They just can't draft wide receivers. You know, they can't do it. But, where do they even go? Because they got to have defensive back help. Marcus Peters is gone. They were getting torched last year.
Humphrey's always hurt.
Yep. So, man, we could have like 7, 8 defensive backs go in the first round, huh?
Yeah.
Very easily. But I don't think they go wide receiver in round 1. I don't think they do it.
If one of
They're hoping Rashad Bateman works out.
Zay, I think, would be the one that they go after, and I don't think he'll be there.
Right. Because he's just ready to play. Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
and that's what they need if they figure out what the fuck they're doing with Lamar Jackson. That's their biggest issue right now is Lamar Jackson and getting Lamar Jackson an agent instead of Lamar Jackson representing himself, trying to get Deshaun Watson guaranteed money, which nobody else is going to get that. I don't know how many times someone's going to hit him on the head with a hammer. 2x4, get Jim Duggins 2x4, do something. You're not getting Deshaun Watson's contract. That's an outlier.
Yeah. And they found out that he is most valuable to the team he was on.
Yep.
And that's what he found out during this process. He misplayed it a little bit because he confirmed he was offered 3-year, 133 fully guaranteed. Then supposedly there's a rumor that they upped the offer to $200 million guaranteed, and he still said no. That's when he confirmed the 3-year, 133. But the next thing that's come out is they offered him $200 million in guarantees, and he said no.
OBJ, I don't.
He has enough of a history where you can't depend on him to play 17 games, that's for sure.
No.
But yeah, can he be at least a slot guy? Absolutely. He's polished enough to bring something to the table. But
He still
Don't
could be an
expect.
asset, but like you said, it's
Right.
the consistency, the injury.
1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns ain't happening. You know?
No. I think of him in the sense of if a kid hears parade, 4th of July parade, you're like, okay, that's a money one. Somebody says, oh, the local high school's having a homecoming parade. Oh, a parade, that's going to be fun. There's going to be candy. And you go there and there's like maybe like 4 floats for the freshman, sophomore, junior, and seniors. and that's like literally it. And they throw a little bit of candy out. It's done in 5 minutes. You're like, I got candy. I had a bucket. I only needed a Ziploc bag though to put the candy in. There's plenty of room left in that bag. There's no Shriners, no clowns, no bands. Or there might be the high school band, but there's no the American flag and the veterans and all that stuff. It's a lot of pomp and circumstance for OBJ. And I don't think he's going to be fully healthy. I think he's going to do something right away and be out again. It's a guy that I don't.
Well, he still wants too much money.
Well, when you want, or you're getting whatever it is, 15 million. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I was surprised.
Like, okay, you guys must have watched like the Madden 24 tape or something, because watched him last couple of years of it. That's not. If Jerry fucking Jones didn't want to sign him, that literally is what all you need to have on your plate with Odell Beckham Jr. Jerry Jones, who will sign anything that's living. It's like my boss at the store. You will hire anything that has a pulse. If he doesn't want him, that's all you need to know. I should talk about the Steelers too, because they traded we got Allen Robinson from the Rams.
Oh yes, right.
So and he's only 29. So I mean, this isn't like 37-year-old Allen Robinson. He's got like 20 miles left on that one tire. He'll get you a couple more games. I think he'll be that safety valve for Pickett. I think start working with him in the offseason. So I think that's another one of those shrewd moves that they didn't really give up a lot.
Right.
We got 23, the Vikings.
All right, so if you have a fifth quarterback that goes, this is the spot it goes. It would be Hendon Hooker, which the weird thing with him is he's 25 years old.
Yep.
So I don't know if I could draft a 25-year-old in the first round, because if you think about quarterback development, you think 4 years is your full development, right?
Yep.
So if he took 4 years, he'd be 29. That's not going to work. So he has to be ready to play pretty much right away. So you get 1 year with Kirk Cousins still, and then he would have to take over. But he played in a gimmick offense in Tennessee, kind of, But he was very productive. He didn't turn the ball over in passing that much. It's very impressive. But, he did nothing for 4 years because he was in school for 6 years.
Yeah.
Because the COVID year and then the redshirt year. So he was Virginia Tech, I believe he played some before. Yeah. But Tennessee, he was productive, but it is one of those little gimmicky offenses that you won't run in the NFL. So it's a hard evaluation. But the guy was productive. Unlike, Will Levis and even Anthony Richardson to a degree. He at least was productive against good competition. So if he wasn't 25. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he's like 23, people are talking at mid first. He's coming off the ACL.
Yeah.
So obviously this is another redshirt year, which is good in the sense if you are the Vikings and you're thinking ahead, you're paying Jefferson at some point. You're going to pay him an absolute fucking war chest of money. And you're going to have to, you're always in this salary cap hell. Every year you're trying to finagle, and it's just nothing but, it's like Enron and it's dying 6 months. You're just trying to make cuts to survive. And any and everyone at some point is going to be gone. As much as they like Harrison Smith, at some point he'll be cut. Again, not this year because he restructured, but
right.
At some point there's going to be that $20 million, $15 million, 18, whatever it is. It's like, well, no, I'm not going to restructure. I'll take my $4 million and go somewhere else and play. Cousins, he's proven he's a solid quarterback.
Problem is, he's too good where you can't keep him because you won't lose enough games.
Yep.
So that's why this has to be the last year for him.
You can. Yeah. You let go of Thielen. Again, his numbers were
They're in a
down.
weird spot.
Expect that. But you let go of somebody that Minnesota State Mankato from Detroit Lakes, a Viking through and through, super active in the community and the charitable situations and the children's hospital, and you let him go. It's like you don't want to let those guys go that are productive on and off the field, and you just don't know what you're going to get. I'd rather hang on to those guys for a little too long than give them up, and then you're sitting there and you ain't drafted receivers other than Jefferson, really.
Right.
Osborne was a hit or miss guy. I know they had somebody else that they cut right away. Went to the Bears, I think, a double last name guy, more of a punt returner. A couple of years ago, he didn't do anything, obviously. So
Yeah, they just have to decide if they're in a rebuild or not. You know, are you
That's the
trying
only-
because the NFC is gettable outside of like the Eagles and 49ers? You can make the playoffs in the NFC, you know. So, yeah, they just got to decide what they want to do. Or is this a rebuild year? Are you going to start it? Or are you going to try to win and set yourself back 2 more years?
because then you re-sign Madison for a pretty hefty price for a backup running back.
Right.
You still got Dalvin Cook in the hook.
Yeah, do they release Dalvin Cook, take the cap hit this year, let him go to Miami, which is where he wants to go?
Yep.
But we aren't going to trade for him because we're not giving you any assets and we're not taking his contract. So we're just waiting for you to release. Because you notice all of a sudden the last week you've heard Jamar Gibbs, they're going to trade up to the Dolphins are going to trade up to take him. And they're doing that to put pressure. They leaked that crap out to put pressure on the Vikings. Like, we're going to take a running back if you don't do something here.
Yeah.
But, yeah. They just got to decide what they want to do. Are you going to go for it again, or they should just start the rebuild?
They need to, but they won't. That's the problem.
I don't think they will.
And that's the thing with all Minnesota sports. They try some sort of trade, finagling, signing. Wild, their captain, Dumbo won't be back. You saw what the Timberwolves did. They're just a mess. And the Vikings, they every year for the last 4 years, it's been sweeping 4 or 5 veterans away, trying to piecemeal with like table scraps and leftovers. And well, hey, the sweet potatoes over there haven't been touched really. I'll take a couple of those. Let's see what we can do with those guys. At some point, you don't even have to tear everything down. You just need to take away A, B, and C. You still can have Jefferson. You still can have your solid line. You still got T.J. Hawkinson. You got Madison for a couple of years. Again, he's a solid back, not great, but you pair him with someone else, and you get a good duo out of it. I just don't. If they take a corner, I'm gonna laugh because I know whatever corner they take, it's going to be the wrong one.
Yeah.
So I can just sit there and say you're picking the wrong talent. Jacksonville is up next at 24.
Anyone can cover a tight end. Sign him up.
Mm-hmm.
Because what was it? Everett killed him. Kelsey killed him. Somebody else killed him. They got to cover a tight end. So if Branch falls to there, that's like the most obvious choice in the world. But yeah, they're so bad against tight end. They got to do something. And it's too early to take a linebacker, even though I love Jack Campbell. He's a second round guy.
Yeah.
But I love his instincts, though. He's a second.
Giants. at 25.
This, I think, another tight end could come off the board.
Mhm.
I think one of the tight ends comes off. Take your pick. But if you want a Mike Gesicki type, you can go with Luke Musgrave. I watched some of him, and I was like, I've seen this guy before.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't want to block, and he runs the same two. I know who this is. It's Mike Gesicki.
Well, at least Gesicki is better than Agnew. I mean, it's not exactly a roaring compliment, but
Maybe Agnew just never got a proper shot, you know?
maybe. Just like Jason Morrow.
Yeah.
26, Dallas.
The first center could go off the board here, I think. Would be a good pick. The John Michael Schmidt from Minnesota. Nasty.
Yep.
Perfect. Like I said, the tackles will be gone. Yeah, I think that would be like the obvious choice for them. I know people don't like to draft centers in the first round, but very obvious choice for them.
Tight end, another possibility. If
Yep, replace some Schultz.
Tucker Kraft out of South Dakota State would be.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, glad you mentioned him. Gave me George Kittle vibes. Again, not saying he's George Kittle, just gave me those vibes.
Yeah, he is a beast. I watched a few of the FCS playoff games with him in it, and they were cold down in South Dakota. I don't know where the hell in South Dakota they're at, but it was brutal. I mean, ice on the field, and he's in like just the jersey, no sleeves.
Right.
Like, there's tough, and then there's not smart. You're somewhere in between. I don't know where, but
Yeah, we want you a little crazy.
I'm shivering watching you, and you see the people in the stands are just like in Arctic parkas, and they're like, it's like the ice bowl out there. I'm like, man, I love football, but I'm watching it. I'm like, okay, I'm not. If I stand, I won't be able to move after the game. Unless I have like the Dumb and Dumber riding the motorcycle moment, I piss myself just to warm my legs up. It's not going to be happening by standing there for 2.5, 3 hours. But I like him a lot. So I think if he doesn't go there, Cincinnati in a couple picks would look at him. Buffalo, 27.
This is like, you know how they always keep trying to find a running back? And James Cook looks like he could be like a number 2. But does this is where Gibbs goes? Or is he too much like Cook where they... Yeah, that's the only reason why I don't think they'll do it, because it's a little too similar.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Let's see. Who's here available that they would... I don't know. Who do you got them taking? I don't really have a... They could do anything because they usually just take the best player.
D-line, just like a rotational guy. I mean, they got people on there. If an old lineman that they like is there, because again, that's always something you're looking. Because again, at some point, I don't know if they must have redone Allen's contract by now. You're going to have to start piecemealing some of these people together with these picks, because you need you can't be going out in free agency. Hey, we got to get this guy, because we just don't have the money. You have to your other resources. You got Diggs, receiver. I've seen a lot of receiver talk there too. Downs from North Carolina.
Yeah, it would almost be hard not to take Quentin Johnson there. I didn't think about that. And to that guy, he does everything right until the ball comes into play.
Yeah.
So it's like you're in a room with a general manager going, yeah, like his speed, like his route running. You know, seems like a pretty smart guy. But the problem is when we throw him the ball, he doesn't catch it often.
Yeah.
It's
Too
just
many
going to be a hard sell, I think. But hey, he could be the first one taken. I mean,
Yes.
for a while, he was considered possibly the first one taken.
And a top 10
But
pick.
yeah, but it's just you have that conversation of maybe he has a Dwayne Bowe issue where he needs like contacts and no one knows.
Yep.
You know, I don't know. But yeah, he does everything right until the ball gets there. Whether it's a contested catch or just a simple I mean, he had the worst drop rate in like 8 years or something in college football.
Yeah.
So, but intriguing because he does everything else. And he's not puny like a lot of the other wide receivers. So,
Yeah. When you have that 6'4" frame, 220, it's like, that's very tempting.
yeah.
This isn't like Sly Morris at 6'3", 180. This is like the legit, and of course, anytime you see 6'4", 215, whatever, 220, you start thinking 84. It's like, no, it's not going to be 84. But people in their minds start to like morph. Well, you see that route running, man. You see like the breaks. You see the whatever's going on. It's like, oh fuck. Okay. And like you said, throw them the ball, and it's literally like somebody that doesn't have hands.
Yeah.
So you gotta catch with your body. It's that Griffin guy from, as I see our good friend P Daz in here from UCF,
Yeah.
that like the half arm or whatever that came out for Seattle a few years ago. At least he could catch.
Yeah.
Quentin Johnson.
Like now, if you're a glass half full guy, you could say this guy kind of reminds you of Terrell Owens, body catcher, who ended up being a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And he always had that problem throughout his whole career, but he made enough plays otherwise to make up for the drop every game, you know. But if you wanted to look at potential, you could look at some guy like that and say, this can still work. But yeah, very interesting.
And
One of
there's
the more
totally-
intriguing prospects in the first round for sure.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of those receivers that are after the Zay, the Addison, the Johnston, Josh Downs, Mingo for Ole Miss. He's another guy that's fast rising up the boards.
Yeah, like you became you were like a fourth, fifth round pick the whole season. Now all of a sudden you're like late first. I don't get these teams. Like, you didn't miss anything, okay? He's just bigger than some of the other guys, and there were so many small guys that you bumped them up. That's 100% right.
Yeah, people that are 5'9", 5'10", 5, maybe 11, and he's 6'1.5", 6'2". And, wow, I didn't notice that. It's like, okay, whatever you say, but yeah, I think that could be another one though. A receiver just to give Allen some more weapons. if a lineman either side isn't available, and again, if Branch is there, maybe they take him just to hedge their bet against Hamlin. Boyer, he got hurt last year, so both safeties hurt. Micah Hyde, I think, was hurt too, so it's like, okay. Cornerback, just again, pass happy league. You're going against Kansas City every year. What are they going to do? Throw the ball. So, 28, Cincinnati.
I've seen a tight end here almost every time I've looked at a mock draft. I don't know about you. Yeah. And but the other sneaky one, because Jonah Williams isn't happy that they signed Orlando Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He doesn't necessarily want to play right tackle. So if they would trade him, another very intriguing and I mean big prospect, day one challenge from Ohio State. 2021. He's not very good. He plays at like 375.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this guy's like 6'8", 375. All right, you're not pushing him around. The problem is that in 22 he plays closer to 350 dominant. Shows up at pro day, doesn't weigh in. Rumor is that he's 390. So what do you do with that? It's like, if I can get you down to 350 to 360, he didn't give up a sack all season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if you're 380, 390, you're just going to be too slow. You're not going to, you know. So it's because the thing is, you question his commitment to the game because he even in an interview says he only plays football because he couldn't play basketball. He 100% said that in an interview here locally. So, but he's very intriguing. Like, if he would just stay at the 355, 350 mark, you could be getting a steal late in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
But a big gamble because he could eat himself out of the league and be out of the league in 2 years.
Yeah.
But very intriguing for the Bengals if they trade John Williams, I think, because he's in their backyard. So
Yeah.
see him all the time.
And I don't know how many times I've read that they don't expect to get much for Jonah, which I'm like, I don't know how that is. That just doesn't make sense to me when it seems like half the teams in the league could use a tackle.
Right.
It's,
He's not special or anything, but he's functional. And
Yeah.
a lot of teams need function.
Yes. Yeah, they're signing some swing tackle for like $2 million to hope that he plays like half the game. It's like just trade for the guy, trade a third, be done with it.
Yep.
29, New Orleans.
They typically they kind of draft like the Eagles do. Occasional wide receiver, lineman. They need a tight end, but that ain't really what they do. And there's plenty of good ones later. So I don't know. Can you depend on Michael Thomas again?
No, I wouldn't. But whatever you get out of him is a bonus at this point.
Yeah. And then Alvin Kamara, that whole thing's weird. He's definitely getting suspended this season. So is this where a running back comes into play? Again, not their history though in the first round, but
No.
yeah, they usually like the bigger. They like the fat guys. So, but intriguing that could be a running back spot that no one's talking about because you don't know what's happening with Kamara. Because I think it was charges were dropped, then they were refiled again.
Mm-hmm.
For his beating up the guy in Vegas or whatever. You're talking 6 games if that happens, minimum. So I don't know, sneaky thing. No one's had a running back there, but something to consider.
No, and if Gibbs falls there, that's your pretty much Kamara light.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what his comp is. Yep.
So then we got Philly at 30 with their own pick.
Yeah, if they don't do a pass rusher at 10, they do one at 30 for sure. Like Will McDonald from Iowa State, perfect team to go to because he doesn't have to play every down.
Mm-hmm.
He can't play the run with a lick, has no interest, but the guy can rush the passer.
Yeah,
with the best of them. So that's like a perfect fit for him.
When we finish out the first round, because your team does not have a first round pick due to some shenanigans. Kansas City.
Another team that's just been hitting like the last 3 years on like half their draft picks. That's why they're back in the Super Bowl every year. It's not everybody thinks just Mahomes, which obviously that's the main factor, but they hit on all their draft picks. So you're looking at tackle or pass rusher to replace Frank Clark.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the 2 main things I would think. Kelsey looks like he's not slowing down, so I don't think a tight end would be in the future. For some reason, that guy, he should be getting old now. He's like, 33? He doesn't look it. Kind of ticks me off. Always.
No. And then I'd say that Philly and KC, those are 2 picks that are very likely to be traded as well.
Oh,
unless
sure.
they're absolutely in love with someone because, again, we're through the first round. If you're new to the NFL draft and contracts, First round gives you that 5th-year option.
And
So-
4 years is guaranteed, pretty much. So these teams who need already at the salary cap floor, they're like, wait, I trade down to the second round. I have very little commitment and the cap number's lower to get the same type of guy.
Mhm.
So that's also the other thought process. If you're going to pay your quarterback $50 million, you're going to have to do stuff like that, and
Yep.
hit with it. So
So if Hendon Hooker's there 30, 31. So like that Teddy Bridgewater situation where, well, he's right there. Lamar Jackson, right there.
Yep.
Which, again, seems like the smart folks do. They don't give up a ton, but I think now it's becoming like, well, you're going to have to give up a little more.
Yep. And then the other sneaky part, since they've moved it to 3 different days, is you notice you always see a trade at the start of day 2 within the first 3 picks. Because you've had all night to figure it out. So let's say you want Jamar Gibbs. You know he's going at the beginning of round 2. Someone's going there. Do you just go ahead and do the 31 that night?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe pay a little more and just get your guy or whoever it might be. Because you know it happens every year. You see a trade in those first 3 picks of the second round. So, and like Pittsburgh has the Bears pick at 32.
Yep.
They'll be more than happy to move down to 40,
Yep.
if somebody wants to.
Pick up another 2nd and 4th or something.
Yeah.
So thank you, Chase Claypool.
Looking like a steal so far.
That could be also where Denver might try and move up too.
Yeah,
So-
it just depends. Depends on who's there and
What they're looking for.
Yeah. If your guy's there, if you got somebody like ranked 10 on your board and they're there at 32, it's like, I don't know, let's call them.
Well, like I said, that's that could be also where a trade comes in.
Yeah.
Trading for, Judy, for instance. Denver's been wanting a first round pick, and nobody's willing to give it up. But
No, if you get a top of the 2nd, though, that's
early second round, it's one of those in which, depending on how it plays in your favor, or a 2nd and a 4th for somebody like Judy. Yeah, it seems a little bit high in draft capital from that perspective, but if you're thinking Sean Payton and kind of what he thinks about to a degree, he's a smart guy, and if there's somebody out there that he feels is going to benefit the team, and it's worth trading somebody like a Judy, then why wouldn't you take that opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Because they still have some room.
Yep, he'll get what he wants.
Yep.
Yep.
So, like I said, I hope they don't trade him. But, it's one of those in which it is what it is, especially in the league nowadays. Nobody is ever safe on the same team. We've seen it too much over the last few years. Of course, it started with Peyton back when he got traded to Denver from Indianapolis. You would have never thought that would have been ever a thing. Everybody swore up and down that Peyton would have retired a Colt.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've seen it more and more that, these franchise quarterbacks that win games, may not always win championships, but win games, make it to the postseason, deep into the postseason, they're not safe.
No.
And, yes, I get it. That's at the quarterback position, but it's the same way on the receiver side, because since it's so much a passing league, it doesn't matter if you're a number 1 receiver on a team. You're still not safe.
No.
You're not. So
And the other key date is June 1st in the NFL. A lot of the trades, most of them will happen post June 1st. And the reason is because you can separate whatever cap hit you're trading over 2 years at that point. So you can take the cap hit this year and next year. So if a guy has an $8 million, that you can do 4 each year. So release, you can do it as a post June 1st designation. A lot of trades, they may be waiting until post June 1st till you see a lot of these veterans who have cap hits traded. And that's why, so they can take the hit over 2 years at minimal rate. So that's the other date to look out for. So we might see a bunch of trades in June for veterans.
i.e., DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
And that's another one where he's been rumored for what? Buffalo, Kansas City. Not so much in the Jets anymore.
Yeah, because I think he said Jets in New England he didn't want to play for.
Yeah.
I
Well,
believe those were the two he said he did not want to play for.
speculation at Dallas too.
Yeah.
So,
I can see. It just depends on how hard, like Prescott would lobby to Jerry.
Yeah.
The thing Mahomes would be like to the Hunt fan, let's get him in here. And Andy Reid, I'm sure, would be trying to dial him up too. And I'd see
And
going
for
to
people who think like, why do you still want this guy? He's getting old. The way he plays isn't separation anyways.
Mhm.
It's contested catches. It's using his body. If he lost a half a step, it doesn't hurt his game. This isn't like Tyreek Hill losing a step, where what makes you great is now, it doesn't affect his game. It affects it minimally, where he can still be very productive.
Yeah.
So that's why he's still a commodity, even though he's past his prime because of the way he plays.
And I know something with the contract and the PED suspension sort of topsy-turvy, like the guaranteed money.
Right.
So it didn't void it completely, but it did something where he has to.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was either.
It's some kind of. Again, I'm not an agent. I don't write the contracts, but I know
Right.
something in there has been. It's adjusted now because of his suspension. So whatever money he's got on there isn't as egregious as it looks. And I don't know if that affects the trade hit on the cap or what, but I mean, there's something again that I don't know if it's both. It's like, okay, you can get rid of him and nobody cares, and that money isn't guaranteed, but I know it's still somehow leveraged against Arizona and their cap. That's why you haven't seen like a lot of like real smoke coming out of it. It's like, these teams are interested in him. And that's about it. It's not like, man, Mahomes is fighting hard to get him and Kelsey are fighting hard to get DeAndre Hopkins there. It's like, no, it's a lot of chatter right now.
Yeah.
A lot of hearsay and fantasy type football booking. Oh man, Mahomes and Hopkins, man, that'd be a nice Panini Prism card, wouldn't it? Oh man, oh man.
Wonder how that would be set up.
The setup would be immaculate. It's Panini.
It would go kaboom even.
Yeah.
I was thinking more color blast, but
Well,
I saw on the new Contenders Optic that Brock Purdy is listed as a wide receiver on his card. That product just came out today on Contenders Optic. I guess Brock Purdy's rookie card, it says wide receiver.
interesting.
Maybe Derek Clark can sign it.
It's like, at least act like you're trying,
they haven't after the first few years. That's been the bad part. I think about 16 when they fully got the license, they finally gave up. That was it. It was like, yeah.
Yeah, you can tell there must have been like a few holdovers because you'd get like random good stuff for a couple years, and then 18 on has been pretty much garbage.
Yeah, you have to look in the back of the old patch cards. Like, this patch really doesn't look like something I'm familiar with in this team. That's why. Player worn, thank you. No, thank you. Because the folks that say, well, no, it doesn't matter. It's like, it does.
Yeah.
If I wanted, I like Gary's stuff better. The hits memorabilia. Because I know it was game used. Either by Steiner or Gray Flannel. And it was certificate of authenticity with it. I'd rather get that with no logo on there and just a silhouette. I know it's being used. Then, oh, but this presentation's better. Well, no, it's a fucking somebody stumbled into a coat rack or a jersey rack at JCPenney, knocked it over, touched them all, and there it is.
My biggest rant is at least get stuff from the era they played in.
Yep.
Even if it's not game war, at least try a little bit and get the jerseys, the style of the years they played in. Even if they're still fake, and at least do that. But yeah, I don't want to see a Bob Greasy patch on it with the new Dolphins logo on it.
No.
And see it go for like $400. And I go, you people are the problem. That you're paying $400 for.
But if numbers you can, well, just get a Bob Greasy UD Legends auto for $40 and
Yep.
you got the card that you need to get.
Another topic for another day.
Yeah.
No. So draft wise, how many trades do you think is going to happen, Brad? What's?
Let's see. Round one, we'll go 7.
You're taking the under.
So he's taking the under. He's taking the under.
How many future first round picks over the course of the 3 days get traded away?
2.
I'm going to say 3. Just because I think there's just too many teams that are enamored. And again, we could be completely wrong. It's happened, especially with me. I'm either right on for the first, I think, 5 or 6 last year, and then.
Oh yeah, you did get off to a great start last year, and then and you got like 2 right the rest of the way or something like that. I tell people if you get 10 right, you are an expert level. Like the most I've ever gotten is 14.
Okay.
And I've paid attention to the Mel Kuypers and the Mike Mayocks over the years. If you're getting 10, you are an expert. So it's kind of like baseball. You're batting 300.
You're doing well.
You're a Hall of Famer. Yeah, if you can get 10 right, it's impressive. Because all it takes is one pick to screw them all up. That's what makes it so hard.
I think one of those Clemson players, one of the D linemen.
Yep. Miles Murphy. And, yeah.
Breesy and Murphy. Or Brees or whatever. You can just find. And it seems to always be that way. You find too many holes in those players' games. Too many. Okay, this guy had a good quarter against somebody, and then the rest of the game sort of off. This game, well, he played, I don't know, Paris Johnson. He didn't do well. You can find that. You can talk yourself out of those players. But if you got like the Jack Campbell, you're like, man, or the dude from Army, the backer safety guy.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, look at that. I mean, they're down by 30, and he's still like busting ass. And this is against fucking like South Florida. So it's not somebody that's like, oh my God, it's the marquee game of the week. It's South Florida and Army. Who cares? But he cares, and that's. If I'm an evaluator, I'm a talent guy. I'm looking for that a lot. Give me maximum effort. If you're taking a play off here and there because you're giving that maximum effort all the time, you're like, okay, it went to the other side, and I'm just like, I'm gassed, and I don't want to come off the field. Okay, but if you're doing that constantly, then I'm starting to say, well, you know what? If you just want to play against the big time teams, that doesn't fly. I want to see you busting balls if this is supposed to be your profession. This is your livelihood. You can't play 50% of the plays full speed. I'm going into work today. You know what I'm going to do? When I get in, I'm clocking in, and I'm going to the break room. I'm sitting for an hour. Then I'll ease into the day. Well, no, that doesn't work that way. So, again, I just think the Clemson guys, the D linemen, because again, early on in the draft cycle, they were way up there, and you really haven't heard a lot of that
I'll
same.
go Van Ness from Iowa. And mind you, this guy could go as early as 8.
Yes.
Or not be picked at all in the first round to show you how this draft could be.
Yeah.
But that's the one I'll go that teams kind of cool off on. Because, reminder, he didn't even start at Iowa, by the way.
No. Oh.
But, so I'm going to go with him. I like yours, though. The good possibility, too. So, yeah, I would say if you go look at mock drafts, you'll see both of our guys in there. I would say at least one of those guys is going to fall out.
Yeah. And again, trades. I think it's just there isn't that surefire guy.
Right.
It's like the 13 draft, but it's a little. I think it's going to be a little more productive. You've got not so many question marks. It's not like EJ Manuel. Ooh, I don't know. Geno Smith. Eddie Lacy, man, he's a horse, but man, he looks like he ate a horse for lunch. Not a lot of the question marks, but you're not getting a lot of the super flashy Sports Center highlight plays. You're going to get a lot of people that are going to be members of Super Bowl winning teams that are just like the Fletcher Cox type players. It's like they do their job. And they're not overextending themselves, not doing stupid shit out there. They're just play the game of football, play it right, be coachable, which a lot of these guys are, except whoever Vegas drafts, and that's what you're going to have. I think you might have a couple later on that are. I like
So
the guy.
what position do you think gets drafted the most in round 1? Are we going corner? Or
Yes. I'm going to say.
How many tackles? Yeah, I think I'd probably go defensive backs, I would say.
Defensive backs as a whole, I'd say 8.5 is the overall.
Yeah. So I think that might be the biggest position group of the first round.
I still say wide receiver might still be top 3 of going, because I think when that run happens, just like corners, it's going to be whoever wants their guy is going to have to do something to get up to that spot.
Right.
So you might see some shuffling between 18 and 26, a lot of. Well, I got to get up to 21 to get in front of this team, and that team goes back, and we got 4 players on our board. We'll take whoever's there. So.
Yeah.
And then next week on the show, when we're both wrong, you can fucking pepper the comments with, God, you guys are idiots. We just fucking wasted rambling and stupidity. You got no picks right. A punter was pick number 1, you dumbasses.
Oh yeah, do you have a best kicker? We've been
No.
right about this the previous 2 years, by the way. We had Evan McPherson a few years ago. Who did we have? We got it right last year too. Who was the guy last year?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either now. But I'm going it's between the Michigan and Maryland kicker, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll go the Michigan kicker. He had more big kicks, I guess. Moody.
Yeah, that's where I go too, because again, I know this is weather up in Maryland, but I go Michigan because it's a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
There's always swirling winds, snow, rain. Could be tornado on that side and a blizzard on the other. So I mean, and they're usually in some sort of meaningful games.
Right. That's what my kind of thought process is. So I'll go with the Michigan kicker. He'll have a starting job this year. That's what we're going to go with. Keep our streak alive with the kickers.
Yeah, there's plenty of jobs to be had out there. One sleeper before we let you go. One sleeper.
I would say Chase Brown from Illinois, running back, very productive, like 3-year starter type.
Mm-hmm.
Just a guy who comes in because of an injury and is just very productive. I can see it. So I'll go the Illinois running back, Chase Brown, to have a productive rookie season.
I can't think of his name, and that's how awesome I am this year with the draft. I know the players. I watched his pro day on ESPN Plus. TJ, and I want to say Jones, but it's not. Running back for Tulane.
Oh yeah, the Spears guy.
Spears.
Tajay Spears. Yeah.
Tajay Spears.
Tony Pollard kind of like player.
And again, it's the productivity isn't a forte when he was down there, but he runs sort of that same style. Not super quick, not going to burn you to death. Just productive, patient, knows how to find the hole and hit it hard, and then get 10 yards when 3 was like the possibility. And he's got that shiftiness and quickness at the speed. So 5th round, maybe 4th round. I'd say my boy Ibrahim, but he'll get hurt right away for the Gophers. I know he will. So I've already got enough money put into him that he'll get drafted and get hit by a Kraft macaroni and cheese truck. And I would hit for him. It'll work out that way. But so some of those Tulane guys, you don't have the pomp and circumstance, but you beat USC. I think it was the Cotton Bowl. It's like that's a big win for that franchise or that college. Beating them, beating Addison, beating the quarterback who's going to probably be the top pick next year, him or the dude from North Carolina. You got to beat him with somebody out there. So those would be players that, again, buy into the system. I think there's a backer that's a real good backer too. So again, we have 6th round, special team guy, sort of morph into somebody that's in a rotation, maybe take a starting job in a couple years.
And there's going to be a Division II guy drafted who actually won the Hendricks Award for Best Defensive Lineman. The Caleb Murphy from Ferris State.
Okay.
Pass rushing specialist. I thought it was pretty cool that a Division II guy won that award. So he's supposed to be drafted in 6 or 7, but
okay.
He's like a Bruce Irvin type. Which, if he has a Bruce Irvin career, I would say that's a sleeper. For a 7th round pick.
And then they've got the quarterback from Shepherd University. He's got the intangibles of a 1995 quarterback draft pick. Like 6'4", 220, pocket passer, and again, just depends on what you want. It's got to be the right system. You obviously can't pick him in the Mark Roman system, former Mark Roman system for Lamar Jackson. But I mean, if you get a pocket pass or little movement, that Kyle Shanahan system, something like that he'd be well served there. But again, a lot of these guys that get drafted are wrong system, and
Oh yeah.
everybody looks like a fucking idiot for drafting them. But it's like, well, you tried to mold them into something they're not. That doesn't work.
We need someone to play in the XFL and the USFL
And the USFL too.
yeah. So. Gosh, still can't believe they think that's a good idea. That people are going to consistently watch that on television. Yeah, you notice it gets great ratings for like 2 weeks, and then it just gradually, because you don't want to watch the equivalent of AAA football on TV.
No,
you watch
it's fun.
AAA baseball on TV. No, you'll go to a game, but are you watching it on TV? So why would we watch this on TV? I don't. It's just destined to fail again.
St. Louis at least looks like they're having fun out there.
Right.
Their fans are buying into it.
Right. Like I said, you'll fill the stadium kind of like a AAA baseball team, but in terms of a national on TV, you're just destined. These networks, there's no way they're getting a return on investment over the long term.
No. So there it is. Draft talk. Everybody can make response videos on how we fucked up after the draft this weekend.
Hey, we never claimed to be experts. Just throwing that out there.
Make any bets. Don't do anything based on anything we said today.
Put the disclaimer right away. Any words of and quotations, advice is solely of the sole proprietor of that is speaking at that moment. With what you do or what you do with that advice is up to you. If you lose money, that is on you. These are not lead pipe locks. These are not like any of that stuff. The old Sunday morning 80-year-old greaseball looks like a used car salesman. It's like, here's my 3-star pick of the week. Detroit's going over Cleveland 23-18. Look for Biner to have 72 yards rushing. It's like, what? Really? We're just pulling out names and numbers? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, just literally take it with a fucking grain of salt. As you would with Todd McShay, as you would with.
I was going to say, I will say we will be no more wrong than any of the experts you see on TV.
No one. I'll go through mine after the draft of like, here's what I had.
Yeah, I got to officially fill mine out. I started it.
Mine was sort of.
It's hard because there's players I hate that I know are going ahead. So it's hard to put them there when I don't think they should go there.
I know.
That's always my struggle. Like, I know, but they're going to be drafted around there, but I hate it. So it's hard for me to put them there.
Yeah, the one good part last year, I had the 2 cornerbacks in the right spot. That's what I was happy with. Stingley going to.
The Stingley one, yeah. Because I think I had the opposite. And that's it, yeah.
Sauce going to the Jets. I was like, yes. Top 4 right, baby. Come on now.
We would advise against that, Paul.
Yeah. If you do that, don't blame us.
I don't even know if I would bet on a punter getting drafted. Maybe one.
Yeah, if somebody won the Groza and it wasn't the kicker from Michigan or American.
I can honestly say I didn't watch punter film. So that one I don't have one for you.
No.
It's too busy watching Will Levis dropbacks looking for a good throw. I was like, there's no way. Because I heard a rumor that was the case, and I confirmed it. Guy with arm strength doesn't use it.
Just imagine you start up a franchise, you have 2 top 10 picks this year. You pick Will Levis and Quentin Johnston. You got a guy at 6'4" that he's being overthrown by 15 yards. And then the time he gets it to him, he's dropping it. How much of a fan would you be of that team? Like, what the fuck is going on? Are we sponsored by like I can't believe it's not butter or what? What's going on? Seriously. This can't be right.
Wrap us up, Dave.
Thank you for Brad fighting through all the technical.
Well, I like how the last hour has been perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll smoother
Sorry,
water now. That's always
Ruin the
nice.
flow a little bit.
For Michael jumping on, one of the rare times during the, I'll say winter months because there's still snow on the ground up here. Getting on here, but again, being on a Wednesday helps. So
Well, bowling's over.
yes,
He mentioned bowling's over.
and again, I'll say tentative next week Tuesday. I don't know, just because of makeup dates, all this shit. It's just a fucking nightmare. It's all I can say right now. It's a nightmare. I got 3 games tomorrow, so
So it's not necessarily a new day and time.
No.
It just happened to be. I started to wonder when I was like, when he texted me Wednesday again, I'm like, wait, they did that Wednesday last week too.
yesterday was supposed to be a game like 2 hours away. Again, I don't know what their field looks like, but it was warm enough you could have played. Again, depending on what the field looked like. Again, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that got postponed. That was already postponed, I think, Monday with the Monday game. And the 3 last week. Because we had snowstorms and bullshit weather. So, supposed to play tomorrow here. Field is sloppy. The game we were supposed to play yesterday, we're playing at 10. The game tomorrow was supposed to play at 4:30. We're playing at noon. And then there's a JV game afterwards. So at least now I'm going to get 1 game out of it. And, but yeah. Not ideal. And I know she's getting frustrated where it's like, this is great. I love not playing and practicing in a hallway because pipes burst in our gym. So that flooded the gym floor and classroom. So they had to tear all that out like right away. So now there's no gym to practice on. If you go outside, it's either on a playground at asphalt and bumps and shit because it's that old, or you go in the ice arena gym, which is full of bumps, asphalt, and shit because it's that old, or you're practicing in a hallway. I'm like, I can understand why it's a frustrating thing. Why we don't play softball in fall time. Volleyball can be spring because it's indoors. Whatever. I don't make the decisions. It's just another frustrating time of being a parent or a sports person or whatever you want to call it. It's just dumb. So yeah, next week I think it's Monday, Thursday, Friday. And Friday it's a triple header here. 1, 3, and 5. So we play, I think, Cook County, which is Grand Marais, which is some of the footage I've got on the North Shore. 2 Harbors. Again, I think that's where some of the, like a big ship has come in, like a grain, not a grain ship, but a pellet ship of taconite. And then the JV game. So it's another fucking work from 5 to noon 30, and go over there and watch softball for 5 hours, 6 hours. So again, Tuesday looks right now like the day of the podcast. So I'm hoping by the weekend people know, whoever's in charge, hey, games this day. Good. Replacement game, makeup game, Tuesday, whatever, okay. Just don't be Tuesday and Wednesday. Then got to figure something out.
That's a week off.
Possibly. We could talk about Fanatics, what plans they have for the products that are coming out in 4 years. Keep speculating about that because nobody's done that yet.
No.
You sure?
I'm
And if
sure.
I hear another Prism Monopoly thing,
Sold out like hotcakes, man. Crazy.
like I wouldn't even. I don't know. Whatever. I just noticed I kept seeing it because you know how it is. You click on one thing, whether it's Twitter, whether it's then you start seeing all that stuff. I'm like, I don't even want to watch that. I watched one thing.
Yeah.
One's enough.
Yeah.
And I did see too. I don't know. It was over the last week, and I've tried looking for more, and I haven't seen anybody else bust it, which I'm shocked. It's another one of those stupid content creators boxes or whatever, and it's got like autographs of fucking YouTube twatwads. Chris had it at the hobby box, and he broke one box, and that Pac-Man guy was in there. That was like an auto number to whatever, 60 or 50. I want to see what other dipshits are in this fucking thing. And of course, there's like nothing. It's like the whole fucking YouTube sphere has been fucking scrubbed with nothing. That was the one box. That was it. So I remember previous iteration was like, I won't say famous, but people who actually have like a truckload of subscribers and sort of in that Logan Paul type of category. Like, oh, we got like a unboxing of makeup, and here's so and so. Here's something else. Here's so and so. You got like 30 million, 20 million, 10 million, 5 million, whatever subscribers. So seeing like a card guy in one of them, like, I'm hoping our friends aren't in there. I'm waiting for that though. If they got their Topps big league, I'm waiting for somebody to be like, we gotta get like a YouTube or Instagram card set. I'm literally waiting for that because I know it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be just like a human centipede circle jerk of idiots.
Oh, and speaking of content creators, I went to Card Collectors 2 Card Shop finally. Not that impressed. I was honestly underwhelmed.
It looks like
A lot of junk slabs, and he has local stuff in there. But I'm like, where's all the stuff you've been buying? Like, so apparently that's just on the road, I guess.
What not?
Yeah, or whatnot. But yeah, I was not impressed. Shout out to Triple Play Sports Cards in Westerville. Way better.
Yeah, that anytime he's had videos in there, it's like that looks like a nice room to have like a group of guys over and like, hey, let's sit down and watch a couple games or whatever. And there's some cards here, some cards there. It's not like it's
like I said, he has a good selection. If you're into the junk slab era, then he's got what you want. You know, the Joe Burrow rookies that didn't gem, you know.
Yep.
The stuff like that. Then it's for you. But otherwise, not that impressed. Box selection, too much retail, if you ask me. I'm like, you're a hobby shop.
Yep.
Now, I have no problem selling a little retail, but it shouldn't be half.
And that's why Ryan's shop, RBI Crew, the real Ryan, he's got his like retail couple racks or whatever, and then you've got your traditional showcases plus all your hobby, and then in back, I equate it to 3-Star Sports in Roseville, where you've got fucking a truckload of just like stuff in boxes behind, and like their spare room and whatnot. I'm sure stuff that's categorized and whatever, ready to go out, but you got full showcases. You've got huge racks full of value boxes. then you have like the 5 cent, 1 10 cent, whatever it is, boxes on the right when you walk in. So, and then tables to trade. So it's, again, he probably hasn't been there yet. And if he has, he just doesn't take good notes because, again, do it from a real collector, do it from somebody that knows, that talked about it way back in our infancy of the YouTube days and what his goal was with Neil. Always to have a card shop at some point in time and not to make millions of dollars, millions of followers because it was his passion. And I'm still shocked that the shop you went to, that guy got his wife pregnant. I'm still literally, I'm fucking stunned. Did you not know this, Vinny?
Or maybe he did.
Well, that could be true too.
All right, we better get off here before we get in trouble, I guess.
Yeah, come on, Dave.
Well, again, if you see us in Chicago, well, if you see me in Chicago, come say hi. I'll sign autographs. For you. But again, thank you to Brad sticking around, fighting through all the shitty fucking technical bullshit. Again, one of my favorite shows of the year. I know it's Steve and Vinny can just sort of check out and pop in with the Denver and Pittsburgh and like, okay, you guys go whatever, you do whatever. So spending all that time fucking watching college football pays off. The viewership of this episode in the teens. So, again, thank you for Brad, Michael coming on. Always fun. Always a fun episode. Always fun to bullshit about the draft. Give him the door
Really?
treat.
Someone's about to die.
So with that, for Brad, for Steve, for Rennie, and for Michael, it's been the Instant Revolution podcast. Remember, collecting cards, wonderful hobby. The friendship that you forge while you're in this hobby. That's what it's really about. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.